Hello. I घर आ गई. Yes. Just woke up and straight to stream. I slept for 3 hours. Very sleepy. Very sleepy. Why? Why? Why sleepy? Why? अबे दो स्ट्रीम चालू है तो मेरी स्ट्रीम चालू है. मेरी स्ट्रीम. फाइनली ये चैट देख के अच्छा लग रहा है. ये चैट देख के मतलब अच्छा चेयर. ओह लॉल डूड. भाई मैंने स्ट्रीम बंद कर दी जो देखनी है हमें. EWC.
To teams before we get to said survival stage.
Well, one thing to talk about is a change of maps today, and this map in particular for the old guard is going to put a smile on your face. We're starting off with a little bit of World's Edge today as we take a look at our POI draft. Wolves Esports with the first pick here, no surprise, and over to Sky West.
Yeah, that was their first pick throughout the entirety of the POI draft. Of course, they will draft on 2 maps, so that's why you might see Team Falcons, for example, they had 28 picks, so they have prioritized the second map, which is going to be E-District. And remember, yesterday, they did perform well in E-District, a little less so on Storm Point, so perhaps they are trying to rely more so on E-District later on. That doesn't mean going into World's Edge, Mark, we are going to have more of those legends like Sia available, which typically creates a little bit more of a fast-paced action style here on World's Edge.
It certainly does. Something to note here for Aurora as well. Noting landing at fragments, so they're going to have the entirety of the middle of the map to themselves. So they're going to have an opportunity to not only rotate fast, but a good amount of loot to pick up on their way as well. Of course, these are the all of the teams who are competing here in our group. Some of those might be crushed in a few days' time. Some of those will be crushed in a few days' time. But for now, it's about getting those points on the board, and these 3 gentlemen certainly know how to get that done.
Yeah, that they do. Even though they weren't able to get the win yesterday, Team Falcons, I think they just had to make sure they are in it and amongst it. As long as they are playing consistently, expect to see them at finals. The only real time we've not seen them get to the finals, or a team like them, is ALGS Open. Remember when they had that real struggle?
That was a long road.
They fell to the lower bracket and they had to battle through. I think they learned their lesson.
It worked out in the end, though. Let's be real. It did work out in the end. They were the last team standing who lifted up that trophy. Aurora as well. A little bit of an interesting day for them yesterday. Not the best, not the worst. Certainly did get a win on the board, but apart from that, a little bit up and down for the EMEA powerhouse.
Yeah, Aurora finishing 9th yesterday. I think that you looked across at the faces of them and they didn't look particularly happy with their performance, especially if you look at their split 1, how incredible they have been, how they've dominated match days prior. Maybe they thought they were going to be a little bit better in yesterday's competition, but you can right those wrongs here today. It is a chance for all these teams that did struggle yesterday to now put points on the board and say, look, we were just a little bit slow out of the blocks, but today we make a difference.
Yeah, interesting. I actually spoke to Zach Mazer yesterday as well from Team Vision, the IGL, and he was saying, you know, my teammates know they made a few mistakes. I know I made a few mistakes, but when we come out of the games and we look at the points total, we're not too disappointed with what we put on the board, considering all of that was put into the mix. Shout out, by the way, to Lota. I believe it's his birthday today, so no better way to celebrate your birthday than putting a huge amount of points on the board and fragging out today.
Yeah, happy birthday to Lota, and hopefully it doesn't harm him too much. He'll be able to stay focused. Now, we mentioned Wolves earlier. We're talking about the fact they had the first choice of POI today. I think it's going to be very important because in E-District, Wolves Esports looked good yesterday, but they really struggled outside of that. Now with World's Edge, this could be a fantastic opportunity for them to say, look, we've got first pick. Let's get something we're comfortable with. We know we can get consistent points. If they set themselves up well, maybe Wolves could be another one of those sleeper teams coming out of APAC South that could really surprise us.
Yeah, I think Wolves are one of the teams that I've certainly got my eye on. Just those quick rotates. They always seem to get a good spot in zone and very, very good at clearing the space around them and making sure they are involved in those end games. So Wolves, a team to certainly watch today. You could say that about a lot of teams. We haven't even mentioned the likes of Shopify Rebellion. We haven't even mentioned Gen G, a rested Gen G now in this lobby as well, who love to cause a little bit of havoc. And as we head into our first game here on World's Edge, I have to note as well, it's not just World's Edge that's going to be new today, it's going to be Olympus as well. So changes of maps, everything's going to change, and the action is almost ready to get underway here on day 2.
As we look at both Zero and Imperial now, quite a history with these two. Former enemies, then teammates, not lovers, and now they move back to enemies once more. Very excited to see how they're going to do here on World's Edge against one another. Who is going to be able to stand up to the order?
Well, here we go then. The group stage continues here at Esports World Cup. The Split 1 playoffs continues, and we are heading over to World's Edge. And I also want to give a big shout as we head into the first game for a team who's going to be pretty happy, I think, with what they're going to see when we see that ring pop. Is S8UL, criminally underrated, always in finals, always there or thereabout when it gets to match point. And I've got a little feeling that S8UL are going to put out something a little bit special today.
Yeah, they've been playing zone heavy, and it has worked out for them so far. Now,
Nations Cup, ENC अभी तो time है ENC में. ENC होगा November में होगा ENC.
They would have liked as we take a look over towards
the map.
At the legend selection and where we're going to be heading here on the map. Probably down between
घर आते ही मैंने कहा था ना चीला होगी, मैंने आते ही चीला खाया.
Both Gen G and Neo are going to be in a good position for that. 20 cryptos in the lobby.
मजा आ गया भाई.
I think we know what the legend ban is going to be going into
घर तो घर होवे है.
Look at what Falcons are running. Change up from yesterday in the game 1 composition. They do have Caustic in the composition this time around.
एक बार कहीं जाती हूँ और फिर वापस आके मैं ऐसे जाती हूँ कि बस अभी साल भर मुझे कहीं मत भेजो.
Which was very interesting. I did speak to Draugr about it. I won't give too much away about that pick, just out of respect. But yeah, just interested to see they are going to go with Caustic here, and I think that just works into the geometry, the buildings that are available on World's Edge.
That being said, when you look at where this final zone is going to be, and also at the moment, Falcons under a lot of fire trying to get to that final zone. They were going to move fast here, trying to find somewhere.
Falcons की लड़ाई होगी.
They tried to rotate early from Big Mord, but they just got caught by Gen G firing down on them, and S8UL, who have already moved towards where this end zone is going to be. S8UL managed to pick up Blue Evo on the way, so they've managed to get into a position where their pathing allowed them to collect some Evo, and that puts Falcons at a disadvantage. Now they have to play inside of the vault instead of just outside of it.
At least they've been able to find somewhere to actually set up with this Caustic, though. What I was going to say previously, where this final zone is going to reside, there's a lot of open space. You can't necessarily take as much of an advantage on that Caustic, being able to get those barrels down in a building. If this was like a monument, a fragment finish, that's when Caustic really can capitalize. That being said, this current area is actually a nice place to set up. They could potentially pick up a lot of kills on people trying to rotate through the vault.
Hello?
Yeah, the one thing they have to be aware of, though, is just getting pinched. You can see that Walsey has managed to get the drone out and collect an Evo Harvester to get them up to blue, and now Imperial Howard's decided we want to try and reclaim our spot. He hears some fighting going on, hits some nice shots with that Hemlock, and he's putting the pain onto S8UL now. Sharky has to try and escape.
अबे अपने को मार रहे हैं लोग तो. ये लोग की तो लड़ाई हो रही थी ना किसी और से.
S8UL under fire.
भाई अकेले रह गया. नहीं बचेगा, नहीं बचेगा.
That special game, but they are still alive, they are still kicking. Well,
it's early.
They've just been eliminated. 19 squads remaining. Sorry, S8UL, that one's on me.
So our first team
first
from the lobby,
squad
as our second team
है.
shortly follows as well.
Hut.
With Havoc now being eliminated down to just 18 squads. So a lot of these teams have moved very quickly. This zone
is pretty अच्छा करने का सारा GG हो गया.
I think the interesting fact is going to be a lot of these northern teams moving in late because there's going to be potentially quite a few fights happening naturally on their rotations.
I think सबसे पहले निकलते हैं तो मैं first time देख रही हूँ.
After saying that about S8UL and seeing them fall so early in the lobby, but I'm sure I'll recover. Interesting though, a lot of teams, as you can see on your screen on the right-hand side, already kind of playing deep into zone. At the back of Dome. That's where the majority of those buildings are going to be located, that are going to be sort of close enough to the end game to survive in for quite some time. Outside of the zone though, we're going to look at TL. Team Liquid on your screen right now. They're outside of Monument, just looking towards that train tunnel. And they've got a little bit of a fight going down here. VP are on the other side of this.
You have to be quick with any of these engagements though. You've got to be aware there's going to be other teams rotating in similar areas, and if you take too long, the third party could happen. So that's why we're not seeing too much of an overcommitment from Liquid at the moment. They are happy to hold out Virtus.pro, but they are not getting too aggressive just yet.
Yeah, just playing this one smart, playing small, as teams like to say, making sure they're not extending away from each other too much. One player who's always willing to extend to look to get that entry damage. And that first frag is going to be the IGL 0. Nice shots coming through after he jumps through the void passage. Takes the drone down as well. That's huge in a team fight where crypto is so prevalent. If you could take that EMP out and you have it available, all the advantage is yours.
Again, this is why the Evo Harvesters can create these engagements. Both these teams wanted to get that extra little bit of Evo, and in the end, VP are going to lose out here. But Team Liquid probably will leave this one. They've got their job, they've got their target, they've got the Evo. They will now think about their rotation. They don't need to press on the Virtus.pro because they know more
आपको बता दो पैरिस गाइस मैं जाऊंगी तो मैं ब्रॉडकास्ट में बता दूंगी इंस्टा पे बता दूंगी.
Now you can see that on the left hand side of your screen. VP are going to reset here.
On time you are late.
We're kind of looking at it, but actually
ALGS क्यों जाऊंगी मैं?
round to staging now, where they're already up to full purple, by the way, which is impressive to do this early in the game. Dory, not looking so good for them though. They've taken damage from that EMP, and Muscle is down to about 20 HP.
Yeah, this one looks like it's going to be a pretty easy wipe.
इस बार तो स्टार्टिंग से ही सबका फाइट्स हो रहा है.
It's going to be Dinos plus. Looks like
Shopify
Rebellion got involved in that one as
मर गए अब सब बैठे हैं.
Shopify Rebellion just making sure they back off and they can hold. This is going to be on the western side. Over towards Launchpad right now. E36 looking like they might want to try and get involved.
Yeah, they do want to get involved. They're pulling straight into this on this one, and Zap is already down. EMP is popped, but the sit-up jumping into the void, it's not going to affect him, and now he is just hunting down Quayful. They've already found a couple. Shopify Rebellion, goodbye, good night, you are out of the lobby.
अच्छा लगा क्या वीडियो इंशान गाइस सबने वीडियो देखा आज सुबह वीडियो आया था मेका का you should watch S8UL कितने गेम्स में खेलेगा इन लोगों ने बट जैसे ALGS Free Fire इनके अलावा there's Honor of Kings and Trackmania and Taken.
They're going up against Flat and it looks like both teams have been able to get a knock.
Yeah, Big Louie trying to be efficient with those barrels, trying to get them down, and it's like Aurora, who were very aggressive,
and
by the way,
EFC के भी उसमें है. I think LCQ में. I'm not sure.
I'm going to be able to reset, and it looks like Flat will be able to do so as well. Kind of a little bit of a split of the resources and allowing each other to get back up to a 3. Nano popping a Phoenix kit right now. He'll be full health in a few moments' time. You also saw Team Vision in the sky there.
HOK next month है.
Trying to rotate
August first week में.
They're now on the north, the southern, side of these buildings. So Aurora, Team Vision, and Flat all sharing some of this.
पिछली बार FIFA में थे. EFC में थे. EFC में अभी भी है, but main event में अभी नहीं है.
South side of your map is starting to get very congested. But it's a lot of these teams who are on the outside of it. The likes of Virtus.pro moving in from Big Maud. Team Liquid are now arriving to that vault that we saw previously. Falcons were kind of hunkering down in. But there's still going to be so many late arrivals with Heretics and Pirates coming in.
Alter है क्या? अबे इसका नाम नहीं पता मुझे.
You have to try and force an engagement or hope that something happens to give an opening for you to either bypass teams, which sometimes can happen, or you just third party and pick up the pieces.
Yeah, you can see the zone's touching right at the bottom of the screen. It gives an indication we're probably pulling in towards Dome rather than to the outside of it, where initially I thought the zone was going to be pulling. Take a little look at the replays from the initial fight between Dinos and SR.
Oh, legend!
There, and then it was E36 with that Wraith portal to capitalize on the damage that was done.
वो legend उसके जैसे दिख रही थी, वो लड़की नहीं होती थी. यूफोरिया में ट्रांसलेट की होती थी ना एक यूफोरिया में, उसके जैसी दिख रही है वो लेजेंड। ओवरऑल कहाँ पे है हम यार? कल तक हम लोग कल सारे मैचेस के बाद हम लोग #3 थे कि 4 थे, 3 या 4 थे, बट अभी ये गेम हम फर्स्ट मरे हैं तो लाइक 0 पॉइंट्स।
Enter Force 36, who I think started to sniff them out a little bit here.
क्या बात कर रहे हो? अच्छा, एक अपना EFC LCQ में जॉनी प्लेन्स में है, सेकंड क्या हैप्पी है क्या इस बार भी? कि मेरे को नहीं पता प्लेयर्स। अच्छा सारे ग्रुप्स का मिला के ये तो मैं भूल ही गई थी। शिट 8 थे। ओके दैट्स नॉट गुड। I mean that would be good अगर बाकी 2 दिन भी consistent रहते।
Well, they got no kills. I don't think that the coach can take all of the responsibility. If I'm a player, I wouldn't let my coach.
I just hope जैसा शुरू हुआ वैसा ना रहे, वरना GG हो जाएगा।
The POI draft was terrible. We couldn't get any kills off the back of it. But back to your point about Wraith versus Alter, I guess. I think I prefer Wraith, as you can be a bit more aggressive. Speaking of, here's E36.
Nox traded, Obley's down to about 20 HP. He's got to be very, very careful here. And here comes Dinos. Here comes a Maggie Ball. And Justin doesn't know what way to turn at the moment. He's trying to avoid the fight that's going down. Dinos are actually going to use the Void Nexus to pull back to that high ground building. Justin's weak on the low ground. And this swing might be enough to take down E36. They're out of here. It is Wolves actually who are now being the aggressors as the last team to arrive. They are winning the fight over launch site. Dinos are alive but deep in zone.
The Wolves fans behind us in the arena enjoying that one because that was well calculated by Wolves. They waited, they were patient, bided their time, and they picked their opportunity. As now we check in elsewhere with Pirates that we were just talking about. It's going to be Unlimit on the other side of this one.
मतलब ज़्यादा पॉइंट्स लेके कुछ वैसे फर्क तो पड़ना नहीं है, just क्वालिफाई करना है। बट एक ये है कि ज़्यादा ही अच्छे गेम्स जाए, कॉन्फिडेंस तो आता है खैर। बट हाँ फोकस क्वालिफाई का ही होना चाहिए। खैर ये देखो, ये फैल्कन स्टार्टिंग में हमसे लड़के हमें मार के अभी देखो जोन के एकदम उधर एज पे बैठे हैं मस्त।
The options are pretty limited for them. It feels like they almost have to go through some.
पुराने वाले कौन से कह रहे हो इंशान?
Unlimited.
मेरे को तो पता ही नहीं अभी डलता क्या है भाई, मुझे टाइम ही नहीं मिलता देखने का।
Yeah, they could wrap all the way around, go big Maud side, but we know, seeing the buildings, you've got the likes of Flat, you've got the likes of Aurora, they're going to be there waiting for them as well. It's not going to be comfortable on either journey. So perhaps an aggressive fight onto Unlimit may be the best
खेलेंगे डार्क शूटर, कभी खेलेंगे।
Opening engagement twice, so to try and re-engage once more here, you just need
someone. देखा मैंने था इसलिए जल्दी एलिमिनेट हो गए।
something to push off of.
तो देखो भाई तुम, आज ग्रुप गेम है नहीं? आज कहाँ से ग्रुप गेम होगा? आज वॉच पार्टी है उधर गेमिंग हाउस में गाइस। आज भी है, कल भी वॉच पार्टी है, आप इंस्टा पे नहीं देखे?
Certainly for a few moments until that drone comes back to life. Also some shots coming in from a distance here. It's actually Wolves Esports who might be helping out TLM Pirates by doing a little bit of damage to Unlimit. Pirates have to take this fight.
भाई पर मेरे को अभी मेरे बेड पे आके ये 3 घंटे की नींद भी जो आई है ना भाई, वो उधर की नींद के सामने क्रेजी थी भाई। क्या नींद आई है मुझे।
Zidane's going to jump into the void, try and get a TP down, but his 2 teammates might be on the floor before they even get to use it. Nate jumps in.
पहले वाला कौन सा था मुझे ध्यान नहीं है इंशान, वो कह रही हूँ।
As Team Vision have just been eliminated in the meantime. They were playing just outside the zone.
और आज फ्रांस हार गए। कब है मैच?
They haven't been able to survive. So it looks like TLN for now.
भाई मेरे फीड में तो पूरा वो भरा हुआ है।
Reset here. So that portal coming in from Zidane was so important for them.
मेरे फीड में पूरा वो भरा हुआ है कि वर्ल्ड कप इज रिग्ड फॉर अर्जेंटीना, तो खिलाते क्यों है ये लोग दूसरे टीम को, सीधा उनको ट्रॉफी दे दो। मेरे पूरे फीड में यही भरा हुआ है। आई गेस कल के गेम्स के बाद इजिप्ट के कोच ने भी बोला वो चीज कि रिग्ड है करके, और एक प्लेयर ने भी बोला, शायद वो आ रहा था, उनका इंटरव्यू आ रहा था मेरे फीड में।
have wrapped all the way now behind those teams and managed to pinch the two teams who were fighting in front of them. Unlimited still alive. You can see that portal going back.
France हार जाएगा तो FIFA जीत जाएगी. Oh no. ये क्या बोला?
But Unlimited have survived and now have to plan their next move. It looks like the Vault Tunnel is going to be too risky for them with Team Liquid in there, so they're going to wrap round on this western side.
जो vlog वाला वो intro उल्टा वो मुझे इतना अच्छा नहीं लगा था because वो पुराना था.
Closer to Dome than it is Stacks. It is still somewhat between them. It's going to be more on the far eastern eggshell of Stacks, where there is one trailer that Gen G currently reside in. So Falcons, even though they're going to be safe for now, they can kind of move a little bit to their northeast and they'll be able to stay alive. They're in a good position, that's for sure. And actually, Falcons could make this a very difficult rotation for the likes of Zip.
भाई उधर से क्या मजा आता होगा ना देखने में.
We'll put that one down to an early morning for him, maybe.
भाई ALGS या VCT बस मुझे IRL ऐसे देखना है एरिना में. भाई क्या मजा आएगा खतरनाक.
And not only taking down Yulari, man, he's just deleted Zero as well. So the man on your screen is hitting big shots when he needs to. Over to Team though. What's happening on their screens? Dan trying to be one of the last ones alive. Team Heretics were eliminated. This is a little replay from earlier on. Zipline Mafia will be the team to be eliminated. 10 squads now remain as the chaos ensues in front of us. Trying to locate where we are. Team Liquid.
अच्छा ठीक है निशान देखती हूँ मैं.
Dinos did well to survive as long as they did, to be honest. I think it was inevitable they were going to fall. Still only going to be Gen G mainly in the zone. They do finally help out the rest of the teams taking down Flat, who were being a bit of a nuisance.
रात को मस्त हो गया सपने में देखने का.
So we have a few fights happening there, very important. Aurora versus Virtus Pro on the north, as Team Liquid trying to apply pressure to Unlimit.
For France game all referee from Argentina, is it true? Yeah, I think it's
They've just been eliminated as well, so the solo is taken out. Peach was the last one alive. Aurora versus VP, like you mentioned, starts to happen on that other side. There it is, VP Prestis, the last player alive for Virtus Pro, trying to play behind those knockdowns. WGR Neo just been eliminated from the lobby, and all of a sudden we have 5 squads remaining. This open ground has been a graveyard for the team trying to rotate.
Aurora have done so well, by the way, to command this space. They have been bullying Virtus Pro, but now it's just down to effect because we saw Team Liquid joining in on the engagement. The Virtus Pro have been able to get one back up quicker.
Yeah, I like this from Prestis. He's trying to push and make sure that the effect cannot get the reset, cannot get the res. And he can pressurize him to at least guarantee them that spot in the top 4. Aurora are eliminated. Smart.
Where's Liquid?
मिशन पे निकलिए होना भी चाहिए भाई जिस हिसाब से चीजें हो रही है. टीम्स को ये सोच के ही खेलना चाहिए कि भाई हमें ही करना है जो करना है. सब हमारे फेवर में नहीं रहेगा. अपना सब दे दो. ऐसे ही खेलना चाहिए सबको. नहीं मिलेगा सपोर्ट भाई कहीं से. खेलो भाई मारो.
But we have 2 of the greatest IGLs that we've ever seen in Apex Legends already in the final 3 of this first match.
Oh, just narrowly misses the shot here, Zero. Has to hope there's no nades flying his way though.
निकालने वाली है क्या फिर से? ये लोग के लिए है तो टफ जाना. अभी इधर से कहीं से जाएंगे?
Well, advantage Falcons really, because this is going to put so much damage to both Gen G and Team Liquid, and now Falcons they swoop in.
Falcons just waiting to pick their moment here. Dexter down, Guild comes in with that R9. Caustic ult goes down onto Team Liquid as well. That's going to tick.
आज मैंने देखा था वो रील. इधर S8UL में काम नहीं करेगा वो. सब बहुत smart है इधर.
Just excellent. They enter, they do damage, they get back out.
नहीं इंसान you have to take permission.
At the same time. And Falcons, they should be able to pick up the pieces.
Should be able to, but Zero wins his 1v1 to secure second. Here for Team Liquid, he's got a Kraber here. Oh, don't count the boy out yet!
गए.
Big Kraber shots come in. Walty, left on his own. Zero here, another. It's a 1v1. Zero might be about to pull off the impossible.
रेस तो नहीं कर पाएगा. कर दिया क्या?
Walty versus Zero. The 2
1v1. Let's go. I support Team Liquid.
Zero and Walty. It's a merry dance behind the knockdowns. He breaks the drone. No EMP here for Waltzy.
Finish.
Zero looking for finishes. He has that double tap alternator. Waltzy though takes the high ground off of him and gets that initial damage. Waltzy forces him into
उसको
the
finish
truck.
करना नहीं करना था ना मेरे हिसाब से.
Waltzy now looking for the finish. And Waltzy is cold as ice.
Finish क्यों करने try करेगा वो 1v1 में? मेरे को नहीं समझा थोड़ा सा. है ना? Why is he trying to finish? उस वजह से ही हारा है वो 1v1.
But you're right, cold as ice. Those one of the most elongated 1v1s we've seen in quite some time in a final moment. As even though
मैं तो लिक्विड को सपोर्ट कर रही थी क्योंकि फाल्कन हमको बाहर की. कोई ना. इंपीरियल हाल ओपी.
I was going to say it should never have been a 1v1 0.
उस पे हाई ग्राउंड भी था वही तो.
Nuts with that Kraber in the final moments.
गुड पोजीशन. आराम से 1v1 के लिए खेलना था.
That was all Waltzy's.
I think he panicked.
There's a few things that happened in that
I think he
1v1 that
panicked.
really changed the dynamic of it. It was very important to eliminate the knockdown shields, and you could see that was happening, and the attempt was there from Zero, but he got locked in a little too much, which allowed Waltzy to gain the advantage by going up onto the high ground, taking
Field
the
के
top
बाद
of the
रुक
car,
जाना था.
and then as soon as he had that advantage, he was able to rip through. Again, Waltzy, he does not miss, right? As soon as you get into that position where you get a straight sight line,
नहीं, I think वो पहले shield तोड़ने try कर रहा था, but फिर वो घुस ही गया.
Never really going to be able to get back into that engagement.
इसका नाम तो पैनिक एपेक्स भी नहीं था.
Just go for the no scope. It would have been quite something if he won it that way. At this point, Zero was happy with second. He was
Zero
playing for
था ना.
second. He was thinking, if we get second, I'm good here. I've won my ones. But Falcons do end up winning the most important fight of that game. That's the 1v1. There's Privacy and the boys popping off in the crowd as well. Why wouldn't you? A big, big moment to start the day. And it's always nice to do it against a former teammate, former housemate, and of course, fellow Australian.
I mean, Falcons and Liquid were going at each other during rehearsals. They were kind of...
They really were.
There was back and forth, and you know, this is what
Last
we wanted to
circle
see.
तो
We
शील
knew
का
going
बहुत
into this
इंक्रीज
game,
हो
there was
जाती है.
always
वो
gonna be
तो
the
उस पे
Falcons
डिपेंड
versus
करता है ना
Liquid
आपने
story.
डैमेज कितना दिया
Sometimes we
है.
try and force it
Circle से
unnaturally,
थोड़ी
but when
होता है.
it's a 3v3 at the end of the game, how can we not talk about it?
I'd love to see that from
Damage
Zero's
से
POV,
तो
by the way,
होती है
the whole of that
upgrade.
end game, because some of those shots he hit, we were like, oh, this is they're just going to swoop in here, Falcons.
We saw a little bit,
and then
yeah.
I see Hal get dinged, finished. Then I see Guild all of a sudden falling over. And he makes it a 1v1 somehow. And even though he's disappointed now, understandably, to even get it to that point, not many players in the world have that ability.
And this is what's crazy, right? I mean, in any other circumstance, second place with the kills they were able to put on the board, Liquid probably would be delighted with that. But the fact you're in that 1v1, you were that close to winning, it's always going to be a disappointment in this current moment.
I also think he wouldn't have cared if it was anyone but Falcons.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I think that's true.
He'd be like, good job, boys, second place, lots of KP, like, nice job. You never want to lose to the old teammates, do you? You never want to have that little one-upmanship go against you. This is some of the big moments in the end game that we're seeing here as we went down to the final 5 teams. BP versus Aurora. I love this play from Prestis, by the way. This is recognizing game situation. This is great game sense, knowing that he had to stop that res.
Also, if you think back right to the start of the game, by the way, with Falcons, when they were able to escape, get into the vault, survive, and then reposition into Dome.
अभी आ रहा है फीड में कि इजिप्शियन फेडरेशन ने ऑफिशियली कंप्लेंट फाइल किया है. इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो रेफरिंग डिसीजन में कल के मैच में. यही सब आ रहा है पूरा.
To get that second knock, and then the 1v1 you saw just swinging behind that knockdown. We'll say, in those 1v1s, Waltz is one of the most calm players in the world. You hear it in the comms sometimes, he'll just say something like, I've got it, I've got it, I've got it. Don't worry about it, I got it, I got it, I got it. And that just gives you confidence as a teammate. If my teammate's saying that in a 1v1, I got it, don't worry. I believe he's got it.
Well, there's how it's looking after that first match. 23 points for Falcons, 17 for Liquid. Still nothing to be ashamed of. Gen G picking up 3rd place, which, you know, the Gen G story and what they've been through so far and the fact they are now here, they are rested and they put a 3rd place on the board. That'll be a good confidence builder for them. On the other side of the table, a few early exits for some of our big hitters, but it is just match 1.
We'll say
होना भी चाहिए कल.
back as well in that game. Put up his
I mean, मेरे को तो लग रहा था पर नहीं है.
But that being said, we saw that from Zane yesterday.
इसलिए आपका
He's got a lot of kills, everyone.
The back of it.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be here.
अच्छा पाजी को कह रहे हो.
Brilliant 1v1 to have though after match 1.
Hey, what better way to start the day? Right, a 1v1 between Falcons and Liquid. You love to see it. We're not going to see Crypto anymore.
To be expected.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Now, the only difference that we may see compared to yesterday is typically we were seeing Seer banned in game 2. Will we see that again because we're on World's Edge? We might still see plenty of Caustic popping up. It's going to be interesting seeing the numbers leading into it. But I think this now for Falcons, when you look at, you know, their plot armor and how their day one started, they were able to get that win on the board. Day two now starts, they get a win on the board. Everything is starting to lead towards Falcons getting all the way to finals. But I will say, I think Liquid are one of my favorites for the tournament as well.
I'm so confused.
It doesn't matter that they lost that 1v1. It doesn't matter they lost that game.
देखो, like some people don't accept, but favor तो होता है.
That you don't lose it there.
I mean, that guy won over 1v6.
मतलब उनको मिल रही है, काफी help मिल
By the way,
रही है.
you probably have watched it back with how Panic was just on top of the cannon and he was in the sight lines of players and somehow
मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है इतने अच्छे player को भी help की जरूरत क्यों पड़ रही है यार?
Someone wasn't paying attention to where they should have been.
ठीक है.
My favorite part of that end game, by the way, is when Panic flew up and then he lands on a rock.
इंग्लैंड अर्जेंटीना नॉर्वे अर्जेंटीना देखने में बहुत मजा आने वाला है. पहले तो इंग्लैंड वर्सेस नॉर्वे होगा ना?
Sweeps in and wins the 1v1.
हाँ यहाँ पे
Balls on your screen right now.
बैंड वाला फीचर है वालों मैचेस में भी होने लगे तो.
Yeah, that is your fault.
That is 100% my fault.
नहीं,
You're going to have a terrible game too, okay?
What's funny is
I've counter-cursed them.
yesterday S8UL, they kind of quietly went about their business. They weren't necessarily on our POVs as much. They were just putting up points. We didn't necessarily mention them as much until we got to like these stages where the rankings came up. And then the first time you actually highlight them, they die straight away. But these are the overall
everybody knows कोई कुछ करेगा नहीं भाई तो मैं तो इसके लिए अब छोड़ दी. लाइक देखो सच्ची बोलूं तो मुझे बस यही चीज देख के बहुत गुस्सा आता था, बट फिर अभी हमें पोर्टुगल तो है नहीं, अब मुझे इतना फर्क पड़ता नहीं है कौन जीते कौन नहीं जीते. और मुझे पता है कुछ होना भी नहीं है इसके लिए. एक पोज ही नीचे आ गए.
fans in the building hoping that their support can push the boys a little bit further up those leaderboards. Wolves fans in the building as well. We're very close to some of them. Hello everyone. Just give me a little wave.
Too close.
इंग्लैंड नॉर्वे तो यार इंग्लैंड नॉर्वे तो दोनों.
I'm too close to you.
Oh, you're too close.
मैं तो हालैंड फैन बन गई हूँ गाइस.
Sorry, you're putting the fear of God into them.
Well, Neo, they struggled a little
अगर
bit.
हालैंड सच में कितना फनी
Yesterday
है.
and in this game, there's
Bro is too funny.
a couple of players who
Hi,
were on
Sofyan.
the
Hi,
struggle bus in
Pratham.
particular with the amount of damage they dealt as well. Couldn't quite get there and get over the finish line. It's always interesting when we get into international competition. Teams that were suddenly looking so dominant in their own region get to international competition and the gameplay changes tenfold.
एक प्रॉब्लम हो गई वो.
Take a look at all those keys.
अच्छा
We won't be crushing any today.
अभी
But soon,
दो
you're going to get up early tomorrow, aren't you?
I can't wait to crush some keys.
दो दिन मैचेस नहीं है. एक्चुअली 2 दिन नहीं, 10th जुलाई.
Particularly excited to see how the key crusher
अच्छा मतलब कल
performs.
लेट नाइट है आफ्टर 12. आज मैच नहीं है.
Barney's been
Significant improvements.
heavy engineering work between EWCs.
If it doesn't
उसका
work,
वो
it's Barney's
केन
fault,
वाले
right?
रील
So
देखे हो,
he's in
केन
charge
वाले
of putting that together.
Yep, keeping an eye on Barney.
अपने ही मीम के रील्स
Going
पे
into the
कमेंट करता है आना. हेलो करता
I
हूँ
wonder
भैया.
whether we will see a chance for Falcons to try and replicate what they did.
इस बार भी
early
कीज
move,
क्रैश
play
होगी. हाँ वो
zone.
तो इन लोग का
Of course, we are
सिस्टम
gonna
वैसे ही
see
है.
no crypto this time, but I don't think it would
France
really
versus
change and
Morocco
impact
है.
too much for Falcons apart from the
मोरक्को
fact
से
that
तो
at the
नहीं
end of the
हारनी
game, obviously,
चाहिए
was on
फ्रांस.
crypto, but it's one of those legends that when you're in a 1v1, you probably don't want to be on crypto. You don't really have much utility to use. There's not many abilities that can really help you out.
Especially when Zero managed to break the
अभी
drone as
डेली
well,
एक
where, you know, if you
एक
can
अच्छा
get the
क्वार्टर
EMP
फाइनल देख के
off,
की
all of a
गेम
sudden it's
होता है ना.
advantage you. You get the stun, you get the free damage, and then you're probably swinging and picking up a win. But the fact that as soon as Zero broke that, I thought advantage Zero. I really did think that he was going to have the opportunity to win that one, but wasn't to be this time around. We'll have to see if he can get some revenge in game number 2. Thank you for bearing with us, everybody, as we head into game 2 now. World's Edge continues to be our stage.
I do want to mention again.
देखो fair refereeing तो नहीं हो रही है. बस नहीं हो रही है. अब बस मुझे ना इस पे डिस्कशन करने में मन नहीं है, क्योंकि हमारे डिस्कशन करने से वो लोग सुधरने नहीं वाले. बात ये है. अब तो मेरा ऐसा है कि बस देख लो, मैचेस देख लो, जो हो रहा है देख लो और जाने दो. कुछ नहीं कर सकते. इस बार तो कितने बाकी टीम्स के कोच और प्लेयर्स ने भी बोली है भाई ये चीज क्लियर थी. सबको रियलाइज हो गया है क्या चल रहा है. अब तो डेली एक ही मैच है. कल फ्रांस मोरक्को, फिर स्पेन बेल्जियम, फिर नॉर्वे इंग्लैंड, फिर अर्जेंटीना स्विट्जरलैंड. अबे अर्जेंटीना स्विट्जरलैंड इतने और टाइम पे क्यों है? और वो 2 है, बाकी दिन एक एक मैच है, उसी दिन 2 मैच है। वाओ, 6:30 बजे सुबह क्यों है जब सारे टाइमली हो रहे 1:30 बजे 12:30 बजे? अर्जेंटीना का ही सुबह है, चाहते नहीं ये लोग कि मैं देखूं, चाहते ही नहीं ये लोग।
Almost teetering over the edge of being able to change how this one was going to go. Watson going to be very important as well. And it is interesting, isn't it? As soon as you lose crypto,
ऐसा नहीं है ना सोफियान की सब कुछ नहीं देख सकते वो लोग, दूसरी टीम्स के बारी में सब कुछ देख रहे हैं कि कहाँ से पॉसिबल है फाउल होना, दूसरी टीम की बारी है तब नहीं देख रहे, वो बोल रहे हैं। मतलब दोनों में इक्वल होना चाहिए ना।
Sure you do, as now Aurora
नॉर्वे 1998 के बाद 2026 में क्वालीफाई हुई है।
You mentioned it, they were a little bit aggressive, they were able to win the engagement. But again, if you mistime things, if you are aggressive in the wrong moment, third party is always going to be there as a potential to lose out on. And they're going to be going for the traditional tried and tested Alter and Seer to work together. As Flat also were a bit of a nuisance in the previous game as well. They put 9 points on the board. They were able to get to the late game, but sadly they kind of tried to wedge themselves in between a lot of teams who had already found priority, and in the end they just got ganged up on.
So the last thing we want to say about it, Accuser is the perfect combination of both of the techniques that we've talked about previously when it comes to holding the controller. As Flat make their way. This is interesting though, the fact that the zone is going up towards the northwest of World's Edge here is good news for the people who had to travel a long way last time down towards Stacks and Dome. Shopify Rebellion, one of those teams who had to make a long rotation towards it. Wolves Esports as well had to make a long trip towards where that zone is going to be going. This time they got much better prio towards that zone. Falcons, different story though. They have to walk, the trail least stepped upon to get somewhere near this zone, and they're going to go via a couple of Evo Harvesters, but they've got to be careful here because S8UL are shadowing them at the moment. And if they're not checking their backs, could be caught off guard.
Well, again, it's a similar situation to a very similar position that we saw in the previous game, where just two teams making sure they get the Evo Harvester. Looks like they're going to leave each other alone, but these two teams not leaving each other alone. Wolves and Team Liquid, massive fight going down.
Divesh, thanks for the 100.
Second in the previous, now going up against Wolves. They know how Wolves can be in these 3v3s.
Karo bhai.
0 down to 1 HP. Panic's going to peek and do a lot of damage with that RE45, but it's all about the first pick in these kind of fights. And Great Kong is flying through. It will be traded out though, but Panic could not jump back through that portal. 0 now with another chance to clutch. He's in his second 1v1 of the game.
And you know full well after the last
feels
one,
good.
He was never going to lose that one, but sadly someone else comes and rips it right away from him. As Liquid is...
He is not happy.
They are not happy. They are very frustrated about that.
He is not happy. He's saying, why have you inted us?
Well, if you look at it, Virtus Pro are so spread out. A single player from VP went to join this fight.
Last game
they had a position. Virtus
#2
Pro were elsewhere, and they said, hey, we can capitalize on this. We've got potential for KP, and actually we can remove another team from a lobby.
Yeah, there's clearing the side, right? VP dropped over at Countdown.
And Triple Media.
You can clear a side if you're playing zone. Why wouldn't you do it? Wolves wanted the gas. They wanted the smoke. And it cost both teams their lives here.
And then as quick as they're in, they are quickly out, VP. They don't need to stick around, and it's going to be unlimit the scavengers who come in to pick up the Drex here. And now actually, they can reap the rewards of this position just being completely destroyed by 3 other teams. And they can reside here for quite some time on this western side if they would like to. Zone isn't going to finish over here though, so they will have to move a little bit further in towards Countdown, I would imagine. And actually, it's the position that Virtus Pro left originally that they're holding, which could be very much a power play as we get into the late game.
Well, Genji on your screens right now, skirting around the edges of
zone.
A long, long way to go here.
Yeah, Apex Legends.
They're actually heading all the way out towards Overlook by the looks of things.
You were talking about controller positions, the keyboard position there that I was seeing, the approach of the WASD from above. Just making sure that the rest was good.
Big Louis is down. It's Falcons involved in the fight here with Flat. Team who's having a look at this from a distance, though, is going to be TLN Pirates. And with the Qs coming in, all of a sudden, Nano and QZ are in a little bit of a sticky situation here. Exhibit's going to go down. Waltzy combining with Halvo to find that kill. With all the Falcons healthy, it's just about finding this final remaining player of flat to pick up the KP.
Falcon तो खैर कल भी ऐसा ही खेली होगी ना?
That's why we're seeing so much. Seer as well with the loss of crypto, the amount of information you can gain from Seer and that Q in particular, as Falcons will continue to arrive through Skyhook. Now Zone has moved away from the northwest of Countdown, is actually kind of moving back down towards Landslide almost, so...
That's a big pull.
Yeah, Kurosami Havoc are going to be very happy with that one when they realize, as we have a look across to S8UL. They're also going to gain a lot of information from the survey beacon, and they're going to see where people are currently residing.
The interesting thing about this zone pull is the fact that everybody was playing for the Countdown northwest side, right? And so all the teams have now stacked up on that side of the map. The teams who are down on the southern side, as we can see right now, they don't really have to worry about their backs because it's completely clear because they arrived so late. So everybody now who essentially had Prio is now in a traffic jam on that northern side. They all have to come back through Countdown or wrap round before that zone starts to close. It is havoc for everybody who basically had Prio to this zone.
Kurosami Havoc have a ring console there at Landslide as well, so they know full well now where this pull is going to be going, whereas for a lot of other teams, they won't have that information. The likes of Virtus Pro, Vision, Dog Red, for example. Even though there is one ring console at Countdown, I doubt anyone has been able to use it.
I wonder if one team did manage to use it, left, and then everyone else, you can see the likes of Shopify Rebellion are leaving. S8UL just immediately left, and are playing off of that information, seeing a Prio, what they believed a Prio position to be, all of a sudden disappearing. This is a little replay of what happened between Wolves and Team Liquid earlier on in this game. Zero winning the 1v1 versus No Name, but nobody really won
third party कर दिया ना?
क्या
perfect time पे आए थे वो लोग भाई.
Much to the dismay of Team Liquid.
Liquid के लिए तो खराब लगा बे अभी देखा clear क्या
हुआ. The kind of things that you would type in the lobby after the fact, you can now yell through the arena.
क्या बीटी होती होगी ना भाई एक टीम से तुम फाइट जीतो मुश्किल से और फिर जीतते ही तीसरी टीम आके
So S8UL are pretty happy, and actually with the pool that we're talking about, the position they find themselves in, they will be able to reside here for quite some time. They're set up shop. They'll be able to deal some damage to the teams who are going to be arriving a little bit later. I actually do like the position from Zipline Mafia as well on the southwest, because not only can they move into zone later, but they can hold out unlimited and potentially pick up some KP too.
Yeah, Shopify got to be careful here because Neo are actually wrapping behind them at the vault tunnel. So Koifel, who was up on that tower, kind of focusing his attention, the Seer joke in there somewhere, onto S8UL. Now has to be careful that he doesn't get shot in the back. TLNP. I will learn how to say that fluently by the end of this tournament.
No.
Still struggling though, still just the 5 points on the board throughout the group stages at the moment. Hitting the survey beacon though is going to let them know where everyone is, but outside of zone at this point, this is going to be a risky evac to make.
You might not have to say their team name past the group stages at this point. We need to see more from the Pirates. To put it frankly, they have just not been good enough, as they are going to hurtle their way through the skies over the likes of Team Falcons here to try and get ahead of them. But Falcons are quite spread out through Skyhook, and all the meanwhile, Neo are also coming through from Vault Tunnel. As Falcons, they'll utilize the portal to make sure they get back to a 3 here. Very smart and intelligent play so they don't get landed on.
Yeah, Kainer's actually had to wall back to his teammates. I think they tried to pick off Guild, who they thought was isolated on his own on the top of that building. Guild played it well. The rest of Falcons regrouped.
And now seeing that zone pull,
Falcons probably playing for that northern side that we were talking about earlier, the Countdown side. Now have to rethink completely how they approach this zone. So they've gone from moving all the way from Big Moor towards Countdown, wrapped all the way to the north of the map, and now they have to go back down to the south. It is going to be some serious mileage. And the step count is going to look good for the Falcons boys.
I wonder if Neo will go back through the tunnel as well, because they kind of came towards Skyhook because they saw the likes of Shopify Rebellion, But now they are going to be held up by 2 more squads, so they do have the option, if they would rather take what they think is more of a natural 3v3 back on that Shopify Rebellion side. Whereas here, it's so congested up towards Skyhook, and it doesn't get much better as you go further south. Dog Red are waiting up towards Countdown. Virtus Pro are in that building we saw earlier, and Vision also are going to be up towards the Trials area. So Falcons, maybe they have an evac tower, perhaps they can go for a little bit later, but right now they are very much focused on Pirates.
A lot of things to worry about here on in Skyhook. Like you mentioned, Neo are kind of hovering around as well.
Yeah, it looks like they're committing to Skyhook. They're not going back.
I mean, the fact that Falcons are
trying to isolate this fight, they want to take it. I think the fact they've got an
armor check here is giving them
aggression,
the green light and the ghost signal, so to speak, to try and push this fight. But with Watson in the composition, it makes it slow. It makes it painful to try and get that initial damage and that initial knock. And with Neo still hanging around in the area, Falcons got to be careful here. They're going to open up the Nexus. They're going to go back.
Yeah, I wonder whether they're trying to actually make Neo engage with Pirates here. Just a couple of pokes, a little bit of prodding to say, look, there's a battle happening. Why don't you come and join? As now round 3 is going to be closing. Everyone starts to need to move a little bit faster here. It's also Shopify Rebellion taking their fight against Gen G on the eastern side.
Watson's going to go down by the way in that fight that's happening elsewhere, as you can see on your screen. Gen G seems to have the advantage on this fight in and around the truck. Zicky and Dexter still on, but so many teams in the area. It means the damage is coming from everywhere. And certainly coming from the RE45 here of Zap. Team Falcon's been eliminated in the meantime, and Zap will clutch. He stays alive. Gen G Esports will be eliminated.
S8UL trying to take advantage of it, as also Falcons got eliminated on their rotation as well in 16th place. And it looks like Pirates are also falling. And Team Vision get eliminated as now everyone dropping a very difficult zone. And Shopify Rebellion, they're just trying to hold on.
Back to your feet, soldier. Someone who's back up. The IGL's on his feet. The cues are spammed towards them, though, from Neo. It's going to have to be a 2v3 for Shopify Rebellion. But they're coming in from the lobby. S8UL, don't worry, we're going to try and help you out here, Shopify, but it's not going to be enough. Shopify Rebellion are eliminated, and Neo now down to just one.
And S8UL, they had backed off previously, but they see there is going to be blood in the water, and they jump on it. Pirates will finally go down as now Dog Red, S8UL, the last 2 remaining teams from all of that skirmish we just witnessed on the northern side. They lost 6 teams in that process, so there just wasn't enough room for everyone to be able to escape. So S8UL and Dog Red will kind of size each other up, but it looks like they're going to back up away from each other. As now actually we turn our attention to Aurora, VP, and Enter Force 36, who are all in the same kind of area, just on this northern tip of Countdown.
The zone is pulling out into the open on the west side of Landslide. So all these teams are probably thinking about KP. Get the placement through killing the teams on this side, and then we'll see if we can make our way towards zone. And you can see Aurora's game plan, the fact that they're still on blues, they haven't been able to put out a lot of damage. They wanted that early rotate to what they believed would be a good initial spot.
Yep, है तीनों है. भाई मैं सोचूं इतना early में तो ऐसा तो नहीं होना चाहिए.
Now we have Dog Red.
तो फिर मुझे समझा नहीं उधर थर्ड पार्टी क्यों नहीं करने गए लोग. I guess जाना चाहिए था, पर ठीक है.
To pop a battery, and I think he managed to get it off, but S8UL are hunting them down.
Winner of this team is probably just going to walk on into Heretics and Havoc as well, by the way. So the 3 KP could be very important. Most unlikely to die on this rotation. There's just not anywhere to really hide. A lot of open ground you're going to be forced into.
Yeah, S8UL looking for the KP. They're going to find one of them, and I think they're going to find 3 of them, because it's not looking good. As VP will be eliminated elsewhere. S8UL just looking for the final remaining members to put these KP on the board. Fafafeet is going to be the last player alive. But he's inside of zone behind a knockdown shield. You wouldn't believe he's going to last too long. Legacy trying to force his way towards zone, but the zone is claiming victims at the moment. 8 squads remaining, but that's another placement point for S8UL's Dog Red will fall.
Legacy might be able to get a shield swap here just to survive a little bit longer, but Aurora probably going to find the remaining pieces of that. But even Aurora struggling as well. Actually, Aurora goes down first.
Aurora उसको chase कर रही थी अपनी टीम को, उसमें कहीं अपने लास्ट प्लेयर को मारने जा रही थी, किसी और ने मार दिया. लॉल.
They are away from everyone else in the lobby here, and they will be the only team in the zone.
Yeah, Zipline Mafia were close to them, but Zipline Mafia now down to a solo. So J Future And his teammates who impressed so many people in the Americas to qualify.
जिसने मारा भाई
playoffs here at EWC 2026 now have a chance to get a win on the board. Look at the space that they control.
I mean, what's crazy is we've got 6 teams still alive, 3 of them are solo, so we only have 3 full teams, and then the solos are the rest, and it looks like S8UL solo may have been found out, and yes, Legacy, he'll go down with a little bit of a bang. But Samuel will fall. The thing is, Dinos, they don't sacrifice much, because all of the other teams are on the eastern side. Dinos could make that push.
And that's what happens when you control space. You can get that reset without being pressured. There's excuse down on that low ground, the remaining final member of Zipline Mafia. Another team who pulled off the Cinderella story to be here in Paris.
इसके जैसे उसको मिलता था जगह इतना passively कहीं छुपने का placement आ जाता.
And he pulled off something special here. That's the real question. Kurasame Havoc. They're on your screens right now. They're not going to be safe inside of zone though. And of course 36 down to a solo, I believe, as well. Team Heretic still as a 3. They are a threat to this endgame as well.
Now, we have seen some crazy things happen already from solo rats, but Sia wasn't alive in those games. He was banned. So it's often that you will get caught out here, but Zipline Mafia have been able to stay alive, find that solo. It's now Dinos getting aggressive onto Havoc here and trying to make sure they rip another 3 from the lobby.
DJ Killer has gone down, but they should be able to get the reset here, especially with the constant spam of the Q coming in from Sear. He wants this KP to hear J Future, and why wouldn't you when you're shooting this good? End of Force 36 have been eliminated. We're into our top 4 now. Kurasame Havoc are down. And it's going to be a 3v3 for the win. Team
Heretics, who finished last yesterday, have a chance now to try and put a win on the board. They've taken a lot of space, and actually they have utility to work with.
Not very common, yeah,
I think it just got broken.
NSP lost first match.
Won't be as effective. Dinos though, what a swing that is from Chaos! First knock comes up.
8 placement मिला है. KP भी I don't think ज़्यादा था.
Comes in from the prowler of J Future, and Dinos get their win.
Dino.
They will be the champions here on World's Edge.
Damn.
Dinos, the new blood. The first
इसमें भी है RP, KP,
and it doesn't
TP,
look like
है
they
ना?
are out of place here in Paris.
TP को क्यों
And I tell you what, they have a legend behind them as well.
The Kashira popping up.
How about a Kashira as a coach? Been involved in many historical ALGS moments himself, and can he coach Dinos to one of their own? Maybe that was their historical moment. They'll be able to think for quite some time here. But why not go one better? Keep on putting points on this board and get yourself towards those finals.
The story is, always love seeing the underdog come through from Pro League, through regional finals, making it to LAN, making it to EWC, making it to the Split 1 playoffs, and then having their moment as well. What a moment that is for Dinos.
Only Tushar
through and taking the win here on World's Edge with such a talented lobby.
So we'll lose Sia going into the next. That's great news for the Rats. It was still kind of insane in that final circle. He had 6 teams, 3 of them were just solos. But in the end, it was Enter Force 36 who were the last surviving solo, I think, and were able to put on, you know, quite a considerable amount of extra points when you think about it. If you're able to go from 6th place to 3rd place, those points differentials could be important when you get down to either surviving or getting through to those finals.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that zone bounce a little bit as well, because I think everybody in the lobby was caught off guard by that. No surprise to see so many teams initially with that zone, wary position, thinking there has to be a countdown zone, even like a northwest countdown zone. I'm not sure if the edges of the zones were touching, but it looked incredibly close. And then to see that bounce back, I mean, where we actually ended up felt like the furthest point away from where I believed, if I'm honest with you, that end game was going to be.
Yeah, you weren't the only one. A lot of the players, they had predicted that as well, especially with the zone. It looked like it was touching on the northern side, so naturally you're going to play for the north. But in the end, Dino is a fantastic
link pinned है fantasy का EWC में, so you can go and sign up. और उधर तुम अपने predictions लगा सकते हो. And you might win rewards. तो देख लेना, pinned link देख लो, pinned link. अपने कितने points आए मैच में? Placement तो नहीं होगा, hashtag 6 था ना? कम ही होगा.
So a lot of Apex Legends still to be played, but only one more map here on World's Edge before we change things up. Let's take a look at the leaderboards, those down. That's the match results from the game we just saw.
Yeah, how about 15 kills
6 KP है, 3 placement है. Okay.
Teams incredible to put a total of 27 on the board.
11 से 15 एक मिलता है। And I guess 8 to 10 2 मिलता है। 8 to 10 2। Yes, विष्णु ऐसे के मैचेस चल रहे हैं। कोई ना, 9 is not bad वैसे यार। If वो अकेले नहीं होता, it would have been more.
The lobby chat here, I think it was a surprise to many people that the zone pulled the way that it did. For the benefit of my, I would say future, not going to reveal what's being said in the lobby chat, but it certainly does kind of feed into what we were saying with that zone pull back. And I think when it does pull back like that, if you are an edge team, if you are arriving late, it's almost like a gift, right? Because you're looking at that game initially, you see that zone, you've got a long, long way to go, and you're not thinking you're going to have a good spot to play, you're going to have to fight your way in. All of a sudden, with the traffic all building up on one side, it becomes an easy free.
Watchparty के बाद क्या होगा? आज तो ऐसे कुछ प्लान नहीं है। ब्रॉडकास्ट पे बता दूंगी कुछ, आऊंगी खेलने तो।
To where people thought. Dinos, for example, they would have been held out on that southwest side. They were able to double back on themselves once they realized the zone was going to be pulling their way.
Yeah, Thug is in France.
They were then able to get kills on the teams that tried to get out of their direction. And I mean, that's how it goes with Apex Legends, right? There's always going to be the potential that the zone comes your way, the RNG goes in your favor, but you have to capitalize on it, and that's exactly what Dinos have done.
Yeah, very, very effective end-game play from them, and I think as a young team, so having someone like Sherlock behind you is invaluable, right? Because he's been here, like you said, he's been in those big moments, he's been in some heartbreaking moments, as well as some fantastic moments for not just himself, but for the EMEA region. And I think just having that experience is such an important thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the team. Before we jump into game number 3, we're going to go to a quick break, but don't go too far, because World's Edge will continue in just a few minutes.
सब आपको टारगेट करते हैं पाजी। All is well. भाई मैं बता दूंगी, मैं लिटरली घर आके 3 घंटा सो के उठ के आके स्ट्रीम कर रही हूँ। आई एम लाइक डेड। मैं बता दूंगी इफ आई फील लाइक प्लेइंग और व्हाट, लाइक रेस्ट चाहिए भाई इंसान हूँ मैं।
I mean, an old zone. That truck zone takes me back to like early ALGS days. I haven't seen that one in quite some time. And then we have that kind of bounce back zone.
Oh, मेरा सामान तक चेक नहीं कर पाई हूँ मैं। सामान चेक करना है मुझे।
Like the in-game lobby chat, the kind of IGLs, they always have the time to question other IGLs as well. It wasn't just
Watch obsession नहीं।
kind of like, you know, why didn't you leave here? Why did you leave? Why did you in? And it's so fun.
मेरा तो मन भी नहीं है देखने का। अपना ग्रुप डी है ये।
About the way that the game should or shouldn't be played. But in the end, it's the series results that matters. It's how the scoreboard looks.
Alien समझ लिया सबने आपको।
The new boys on the block.
पता नहीं।
3 points now take the lead.
Yeah, very, very good start for them. Team Falcons and Team Liquid in behind. No surprise, excuse me, to see two of the biggest names in the
भाई बिना सोए पूरा आयु, रात में कुछ नहीं सोई। 6 घंटे 7 घंटे ट्रैवल हो जाता है मुंबई से यहाँ आने में।
Yeah, they need to do better going into this third one because it's going to be far more difficult on E-District, you would think, just from the POI that they were going to be playing.
भाई मैंने पता है टोगो के लिए मेरे को वहाँ पे ना फ्लशीज दिख रहे थे, मैंने सोचा टोगो के लिए कुछ लेती हूँ। मैंने लिटरली 10 मिनट्स तो मिनिमम लगाए होंगे, लाइक इतने सारे अलग अलग टॉयज में से मैंने कहा कुछ ढूंढती हूँ जो क्यूट हो, प्यारा हो। मैंने 10 मिनट्स लगा के चूज किया है लिटरली। मैंने हर एक जो क्या बोलेंगे उसको, जो शेल्फ पे रखे थे ना, उनके थ्रू 2-3 बार गई हूँ, हर एक टोटल 4-5 थे, उसमें से मैंने निकाला ऐसा चूज करके, हाँ ये अच्छा है, लाके उसको दिया। 1 मिनट बाद देख रही हूँ एक आंख निकाल दी और दूसरी आंख निकालने में लगा हुआ है। फिर 2 मिनट बाद वापस देखा, दूसरी आंख तो निकल गई, उसका नाक भी तोड़ दिया, उसमें से कॉटन निकाल रहा है बैठ के। नहीं लाके दूंगी इसको आज के बाद फ्लशीज में, सारे इसने सॉफ्ट टॉयज अपने खराब कर दिए। और एक तो मैं घर आई भाई पूरा मेरे पे चढ़ गया, मेरे हाथ इधर पूरा लाल हो रखा था, सुबह पूरा अटैक किया उसने। मैंने कहा चलो इसको भी मेरी याद आई, देख के अच्छा लगा। फुल अटैक मेरे यहाँ तक आ गया था, इधर तक। और फिर मेरे बैग के पीछे पड़ गया, मेरा बैग खींच रहा है, मैं पीछे बैग टाक के रखी थी, खींच रहा है उसको.
Just from having that zone pop early, and then you're like, okay, now I'm in one of the worst positions. How have we found our way into that?
Yeah, sometimes you think, should I have hedged my bets, or should I have gone somewhere else? Should I have been able to put myself in the middle in case those zones were able to pull out? But it's so much about intuition, it's so much about
but मैंने ये realize किया, मैं मतलब पहले ना मुझे डॉलर लगता था कि बहुत बड़ा है, but I was just not used to it. अभी टोगो को देखती हूँ तो डॉलर मुझे नॉर्मली लग रहा था, मतलब दोनों ऑलमोस्ट सेम साइज के हैं, जस्ट टोगो थोड़ा सा पतला है उससे, बाकी कुछ फर्क नहीं है. बट मैंने वहाँ पे मैं खाना खाते हुए ना डॉलर की शक्ल देख रही थी भाई, उसका एकदम इनोसेंट फेस है, इसकी शक्ल से शैतानी टपकती है. इसकी तुम शक्ल देख लो, तुम देख के बोल लोगे भाई शैतान है एक नंबर का. डॉलर इतना भोला भाला दिखता है ना, इतना ऐसा बस बैठा रहता है चुपचाप. एकदम मासूम सा है वो, ये एकदम ही शैतान है, कुछ नहीं छोड़ता है.
Shouldn't, considering where this zone is touching. So Dory are going to have ring console over towards Mirage Etoile. They'll be able to.
अक्षत मुझे भी नहीं समझ में actually, but मैं ध्यान नहीं दे रही.
Also be able to do more of the same. Now we are starting.
I don't think मतलब mostly तो लड़का ही होना चाहिए, नहीं होगी, लड़की नहीं होगी.
Maggie as the main difference maker, which again follows the exact same legend bans that we've had so far in the previous series. I think every single series we've had so far actually has been exactly the same. Crypto into Sia, then into Maggie.
Yeah, we've seen a couple. The kind of exceptions to that is a little bit of
rape.
So
वो भी बच्चा है, शैतान बच्चा है, डेली मम्मी से मार खाता है, डांट भी सुनता है, मम्मी डांट देती है फिर ऐसे हो जाता है.
Yeah, Unlimit, the only team not running Maggie by the looks of it. Even the Pathfinder and the Wraith that you mentioned has been run
yeah, it's
alongside
just
Maggie.
a
She has a
pretty boy.
95% pick rate, so expect a lot of riot drills and wrecking balls going into this next one. And actually, if it is a Mirage Etoile finish, that could be a fun one to watch.
शैतानी लगते हैं. नहीं, हमारा जो पहले जर्मन शेफर्ड था ना जब मैं छोटी सी थी, वो बहुत भोला वाला था, वो बहुत भोला था, बहुत भोला, बहुत समझदार.
VP close to them, hoping that they can find a better spot
this time around. मेरे घर वाले तो ये बोलते हैं कि दोनों हमें तंग करने के लिए ही आए हैं.
Well, Liquid maybe just going to be worrying about wolves and when are they going to arrive, and are they going to be a thorn in their side? For Dory, they haven't been able to loot too much on Mirage Etoile. I'm going to be honest, I don't like the loot on Mirage Etoile. I actually find it to be one of the most annoying POIs to have to play. Mainly because my headphones are usually too loud and you have to blaze music to yourself just to get any loot on board. But
I get overstimulated,
I do. So. I mean, honestly, if it was a final circle on Mirage Etoile, I'd just press the button just to try and annoy everybody.
Well, elsewhere, away from where we're seeing our end zone potentially taking place, we're over at Climatizer, where we have Team Vision. And also Team Heretics, who are working their way down there from Overlook. So it looks like Team Heretics are heading down to try and get a little bit more information. Whereas Zach Mazer and the boys are going to head to Survey Camp to do something pretty similar. There's a ring console and a survey beacon for them to hit, should they choose to.
Now, Vision for me are a team that if they can get to the finals, suddenly I'm thinking, you know, they have the pedigree to be able to get to the late games. They have the IGL and Zach Mazer to be able to lead them to the charge. And they have the incredible firepower as well. Definitely would be a team to watch if they get there, but so far they've not really
मैं जब गेमिंग हाउस में जस्ट घुसी थी वो तभी मेरे सामने आके बैठ गया था, फिर मैं उसको ऐसे पेट कर रही थी, वो ऐसे ऐसे मजे ले रहा था, कई देर उसको पेट किया मैंने.
Falcons hitting the evac tower. Interested to see where they actually do go.
सारे ही प्यारे ही होते हैं, बस दूसरे डॉग्स ज़्यादा चाटे वाटे ना वो मेरे को पसंद नहीं आता, लाइक अपना तो अपना होता है.
Versus TLNP and Zidane, the IGL is down, so Aurora get that knock. They get the finish as well, and they secure themselves 1 point.
प्रथम 3 दिन का ग्रुप स्टेज है, तो ओवरऑल सारे मैचेस मिला के 3 दिन के जो टॉप 14 टीम्स होगी ना, वो लोग सीधा ग्रैंड फाइनल्स में पहुंच जाएंगे एंड बॉटम 6 एलिमिनेट हो जाएंगी और बाकी की बची हुई को एक लास्ट चांस मिलेगा सर्वाइवर स्टेज खेलने का. तो सर्वाइवर स्टेज में वो लोग को टॉप 6 आना है टू क्वालिफाई.
Only the 9th place in their finish. And we know for well, if Aurora get going, right, they can just absolutely destroy some of these lobbies. But we know how contested these international lobbies can be.
Zipline Mafia, just got to be careful of Team Heretics here, actually just rotating back from Climatizer, where we saw them getting information earlier, out towards the respawn village that Zipline Mafia just hit that survey beacon on themselves. So I'm not sure if they know they're being shadowed for now. Maybe a couple of bullets just being exchanged may have given them a little bit of an idea. There is, of course, an Evo half and a survey beacon at the respawn village for Team Heretics to hit to get up towards purples. I think for anyone who's on edge of this zone, you have to be on purple. You have to have the armor. You have to have the full perks available for your legends to fight your way in. Otherwise, you're just going to fall over.
That being said, the same thing can be said for all those teams who are actually rotating early. You want to try and build that up as well, so you can contest those teams who are going to be arriving late as Wolves go back to the scene of the crime.
Group stage se top 14 direct qualified.
Be named around 0. And Shopify Rebellion, again, remember, they've been eliminated pretty early in both of these games so far. Another team with players who can certainly win this whole thing.
They have an armor advantage. And they're going to get that first knock as well, but it's going to be exchanged here. Ziki trades the fight out and makes the numbers equal. Zap is very, very weak inside of that building as well. They're going to take control of this door as well with that Watson fence. So Shopify Rebellion a little bit trapped inside of the building right now. And I wonder if they're going to try and queue out here by using Alter, if they're going to take the straight fight. Zap is going to be down. Shopify Rebellion are going to be down. And Dexter and Ziki will
कैसे भी जाए consistent रहना है, बस top 14 रहना है.
SGG will pick up that team fight and pick up those points. Look at where the zone's going, by the way, Dan. We have pulled a little bit to the north here of where Mirage Etoile is. So Team Liquid in a fantastic position, but guess who's at their back?
ये देखो इसमें तीनों माउस कीबोर्ड वाले हैं
I was
इस
going to
टीम
say Team
में.
Falcons, but I guess my second guess would be Wolves Esports.
It's Wolves Esports.
To try and piss them off again.
इसमें नहीं है कोई
As I feel like a
controller
broken record,
player.
but Shopify Rebellion, it's another slow start for them in competition. Seems to be happening a lot lately. Now, whilst they definitely have the capability to catch up and perhaps matches 4 through 6 will be a little bit better, they are not making it easy for themselves. By the way, S8UL now trying to capitalise on the damage they've already done to Gen G, but I think they were a little bit late on arriving. Gen G have been able to reset, so with that being known, S8UL saying, let's just get out of here.
Oh. Gen G letting them know as well. But this is not the way you want to be going. This is the map overhead. You can see on your screen now where that zone is pulling up towards the train tracks, probably towards the cart. The Team Liquid are very, very close to, but controlling that building on the high ground is one of the only buildings that is going to be available. Wolves are going to probably try and fight for it a little bit later on in this game with where they've positioned themselves, but they've also got Aurora Team Vision hovering around the countdown side, trying to wrap that north side.
नहीं पता, I don't think so, like, but they are the players अच्छे हैं, अपनी टीम
The
अच्छी है.
Arca is down, but it's being rezzed.
It's a 2v2 as well. They also got the knock
Like
onto
they
Vision,
are
so both
very
teams
much
have a trade-off.
capable.
That's why
They
you're
are
seeing
good.
a little bit of a poke battle right now. Neither over-committing. But now they're both back up to a 3. You can see Lota just got rezzed on his birthday. Happy birthday, there's your present. No more.
बहुत सारे भाई कौन सा था वो फाइनल उसमें तो भाई बहुत अनलकी था लास्ट ईयर वाला ही था क्या
When you're talking about weaponry options. But Oi Rain with an RE45, that certainly does give you damage out. Lota trying to squeeze his way away. Takes a lot of damage in doing so. These Watson fences aren't great. Lota just about gets a sell-off in time, which keeps him alive. But now you're seeing Wolves Esports wrap behind. Falcons get involved in this as well. It's a 4-team pile-up inside of this building.
Yeah, you probably want to get out of here if you're Aurora, and that's exactly that. You open up that Nexus, and you go back to somewhere that you can hopefully
लाओ दो
call
मेरे
home
को
and
मेरा
it'll be
वीजा
safe.
दो
You get the recall
मेरी
on
फ्लाइट
one,
टिकट
but
दो
do
अभी
lose
जाती हूँ
effect.
बोलो कब जाऊँ 2 दिन
The baby goat,
2 दिन
as
बाद
he
चल
has
जाऊँ
been
कल चल
described.
जाऊँ
As Falcons capitalize, they not only are able to push in and force a team away, it means they can create a little bit of space to work with themselves and get back to where they originally started.
Yeah, Falcons are in a really good spot for this end game as well, playing the kind of chokes outside of the main building of Countdown, where those fights were taking place. TLNP gonna chip someone off of an evac tower for now, but Zidane can't quite connect with that wingman in his hands. And they have to walk across this bridge to be safe themselves, but this is going to add up to the pile-up that's happening on this side of the map. In the feed, by the way, Zero just got knocked by Hal from a distance with a 30-30 repeater, but he should be safe to be picked up here.
Well, as we check in with Pirates, they've been struggling so far. Let's see a little bit of a listening with them and see maybe if they can find their way into zone.
Они с Меги, пацаны, они будут нас дросить сейчас.
Меги нам ничего не сделает, она полностью не выжигает все. Аккуратно.
Не застрою.
Вот так.
У тебя будет книжка?
Нет, так верхник.
Окей, все гуд.
Так, теперь нам надо...
Получается.
Тебе надо квадратик будет потом начекать глазками.
Бля, может уже сейчас пойти начекаться?
Вот этих ослов надо отпекать, пацаны. У нас дохуя хилов, они какие вообще стоят?
Так,
Синие
так.
вроде, да?
Да-да-да.
То не даем им стоять нормально.
У меня сейф, у меня сейф.
Садал пацку.
Пикнем по правой?
Ладно, не нокать, да. Раз, два, три, го.
Давай.
Вот там,
Вот здесь стоит.
там катух, вот там катух.
Да не слева пикает, пацку. Вот мне слева
Горит?
пикает, 70 дал.
Нет, не горит.
Я вернулся.
Пока лево не вижу.
Бля, вот там мне лучше играть будет?
As we see the fight starting to take place, we saw Aurora and Dinos being eliminated. Both teams fall out the lobby. Dinos with the win of the previous game, but not able to repeat the success this time around.
भाई जो टीम जीत रही है या टॉप 2-3 आ रही है वो नेक्स्ट में जल्दी बाहर हो रही
Let's
है.
get some points on the board and kill this team.
I'll get that confirmed by the awesome French fans that we have in the crowd, see if that's true or not.
Please don't.
कौन सी मूवी नाइस समझा नहीं मुझे क्या कह रहे हो.
It looks like Vision are in position to win this fight. The Pirates are down. They are sinking once again here. As Lota will be brought back to his feet. The reset is comfortable here for Vision.
It's his third birthday present of the game being revived.
Greedy.
Starting to get a little bit greedy now as Neo sending on to flat here, and there's those wrecking balls that I was talking about as flat down into 16th. No placement point for them. As Neo put themselves now up to 12 points and up into 10th here in the lobby.
Unlimit just been eliminated as well as the pace just starts to pick up a little bit here. Falcons still in that position that we we're talking about with the choke and the rest of Countdown to their backs. Wolves have got to move though. They're on that north side. They're playing from Lava Fissure. Remember, #1 pick in the POI draft. Dropping over at Trials. But only the 4 points to report so far. A couple of KP here onto Yans and the rest of Team Heretics might change the story.
Heretics struggling in the moment, just taking a lot of damage as they cross over because it's not only Wolves, but Liquid are here as well. And Liquid will clean up Heretics. And now they suddenly divert their attention over towards Wolves. Revenge always says good as they get that first off, but still 2 players alive, and Liquid want to try and clear this. Great to take a huge amount of damage here from Panic.
#13.
Zero flies in to clean up 2. The last remaining player is taken
I
down
think
as well
0
by Sykes.
KP this time,
And that'll be
right?
Team Liquid
0
picking up
KP.
all those kills on the northern side. VP though have moved into position just below them. Elsewhere on the Countdown side, Gen G on your screens right now. They've lost Dexter.
Gen G do
और
have a Valkyrie, though. They could
#13
try and
ना
just get out
मतलब
and over this one if they can find a
placement
position
भी
to
एक
actually take that
मिलेगा
skyward
बस
dive.
1 point.
But in the moment, they're just focusing on trying to stay alive because Vision are being so aggressive, not allowing them to stabilize.
They just want to try and hold them out here, Vision. They don't want to let Gen G pass. But Gen G, hot off the back of a big team fight win, of course, against Shopify Rebellion a little bit earlier in this game, will want to take this fight. In the kill feed, though, Falcons are now being pressured, and Guild has been taken down. So a 2v3 for them to try and navigate.
Falcons were kind of looking elsewhere. They were distracted. You get the knock very close as now Hal tries to hold on, but not able to do so as now 11th place will be the finish for Falcons. As Gen G still being applied on that pressure by Vision.
32 seconds left. Someone has to blink here in this fight. Otherwise, the zone is going to really become a factor. Dexter, Ziki, Team Vision gone. Gen G win another fight here.
I mean, that's so good for Gen G. Not only do they put more kill points on the board, but it gives them
लंबा
options.
लग रहा है,
They
मेरे को
can
तो
walk
नहीं
in
लग
if they
रहा.
would like. As I mentioned, they have that
जल्दी
skyward
जल्दी
dive.
हो
But actually, if
जाता
you
है.
look at the path they have available to them, they might have
मतलब
one of the
मैच
easiest
3
routes
चल रहा है
into this
सोचो सो
zone.
halfway तो हो
Aside
गया.
from Team
आधा
Liquid,
बचा है.
who do find themselves pretty much central to where we're going to be finishing, versus Pro also holding the tracks right now, or should I say underneath the tracks right now.
Yeah, VP's position is good for endgame and being involved, but as far as outputting damage, looking for KP, pretty tough to do so. And Prestis, who has a Kraber in his hands, is probably hoping he can find some slightly better angles to try and collect a few of those kill points. Dory, who we saw dropping over at Mirage, well, they're still here right now, but they're going to have to move in a few moments' time unless they want to try and play this corner, but it's a very, very tight area to play.
Tick, tick, and a little bit of a boom. But Dog Red are going to be right there, as we will see Kurosami Havoc get eliminated from the lobby at the same time. Dog Red below them just trying to set up shop, and whilst they will be alive in this current zone, they're going to see shortly they're going to have to move a little bit further northeast. As we check back in with Gen G, this was the walk-in I was talking about. They were able to approach from the north. They didn't have the skyward dive, and now they're applying a little bit of pressure on the teams in front of them here.
Oh, the breach charge is good enough from Ziki. That's going to be Zipline Mafia now out the lobby. More KP for Gen G. Liquid might be next. Gen G are not safe. Where they find themselves right now. Back over to the other side of the zone. FTW doing his best dance here. 108's good enough though from Muscle. And a combination of damage coming in from numerous longbows will get that knock. Zin up in the kill feed, by the way. He's got a Kraber as
Honestly,
well.
it will be sad if ये लोग हार के अभी भाग गए. कल मतलब they were so close to winning भाई.
Initially they had to back off, but this is not
कल
an easy push.
जीतते ना भाई मजा
They are
आता.
fortified here at Dog Red, and they are doing work, but finally they get through. Dory are unable to win it, but now Virtus Pro once more are going to be there to potentially clean up these pieces. It's Prestis again.
Prestis loves a free KP. Oh wait.
Oh no.
Not so free. Ozus, come and help me, buddy. I've got you, buddy, he says. Even with the stun damage, he's going to get the shield swap, but it's not the best in the world, but he'll get his teammate back up, and that portal is still down. Dog Red will be eliminated. It's a bit messy, but it was good enough.
It was, and it's allowed Enter Force 36 to kind of step up on them a little bit. Now Gen G also under a little bit of fire here from Team Liquid, who have stepped out from their fantastic position they currently hold. They don't want to allow Gen G to step up as comfortably as they have been.
As he gets the armor swap, you can see Zero is trying to overextend here, trying to
Liquid
keep
ही
the pressure
निकालने
onto them. He
वाली
doesn't
है,
want to let
लग
them
रहा है.
reset. He wants to force them away from Team Liquid's position. Panic coming to join him now to make sure that that is going to be uncomfortable for Gen G to move anywhere at the moment. The Riot Drill at least gives them a little bit of separation here as we jump now over to the other side of zone. E36 and VP looking to engage, and Prestis still hasn't got to pull the trigger on that Kraber.
Team Liquid with a chance to be in first place going into the half here of this series. They are only 2 points behind Dinos now. As VP, they're looking to jump onto E36.
And Jusna should be taken down, but no! Obli with a Kraber his own onto Prestis. E36 will fall though, and it looks like they'll be able to get the reset here. Nobody is going to be able to wrap round to them because Liquid and Gen G are engaged on the other side of the zone. Dexter last alive. And just trying to survive. Second place will be good for him here.
Dexter wants to do his best panic impression now, see if he can go unnoticed, unspotted, and avoid all this gunfire.
Well, VP have that Kraber, remember. In the hands of Prestis. One peek and one bullet can change the trajectory of this game. And I tell you what, Sykes was pretty close to having his head removed there.
Main difference in terms of composition here, we've got the Alter on Team Liquid, you've got the Wraith on Virtus Pro. And utilizing that Wraith to just reposition a little bit here.
Double ult cell being popped by both the Maggie.
They want Dexter.
अरे तो 5-5-5 के साथ भी they were close भाई जीत सकते थे साथ सकल. वो लोग से mistakes हुई हैं बहुत basic. कल जीत जाते वो लोग. तभी तो कह रही हूँ अगर आज बाहर हुए वो sad हो जाएगा भाई. हाँ FF का करूँगी देव. I'm doing Valo, Apex, FF and Chess.
He shreds through the shield. Sykes has to be as aggressive as possible here.
VP, Sykes has held the line. Almost single-handedly with that R99 in his hands, and now Zero gets the first knock. And off the back of Sykes holding, now he slides in for his second potential kill of this team fight.
Liquid, bola था Liquid.
Held strongest.
Liquid send themselves into first place after 3 here on World's Edge. 45 points over these 3 matches. And maybe, just maybe, that makes up for that first match that Zero was so disappointed with previously, because he has the last laugh as they go into the break.
A great example there for people watching on how to control space when you have Godspot. How good were they at eliminating their threats, not letting them close
Zero.
to the Alamo that was their home. That building that was just
W खेल रही है. Yup. TL Nats OP. TL Nats OP. Nats for the win. Let's go. ए तुषार इधर भी देना popcorn.
But getting that gen down on the roof, playing that head glitch clutch and almost single-handedly at one point holding off VP while the rest of Liquid got healthy. Sykes, you've got to take your hat off to him.
Hi, Surajit.
Aggressive. It was exactly what he needed to be. As soon as you've done that damage and you've had that crack onto the shield, by being a little bit aggressive, you force them back. You don't allow them to surround you. If he hadn't have been applying that damage, if he hadn't have been holding them off, he would have got swarmed, gone down. You're in a 3 versus 2. But it is trusting in his own ability, Sykes, that he knows he can hit his shots, he knows he can apply that pressure as an individual, and he just needed to give time for the rest of his team to get back to his help. And now Liquid will find themselves in first place, 45 points, 24 kills across the 3. Dino's going to be behind them. Falcons, who are in that 1v1 with them in match 1, they are in 3rd place as well, so it's not all doom and gloom for them. Liquid are going to be delighted.
And the best thing for Liquid as well is the fact that every single player has had a moment in those first 3 games. Or should I say, in the first 2 days so far. Panic had a huge moment, of course, yesterday. Zero had his moment in that one.
Ganda tu sa.
Saw in the second game.
6-7.
3 clutch, it felt like in game number 1. And then Sykes showing how to play the perfect Watson position and be the anchor for your team in those final moments.
Think about how different it could have been as well for Team Liquid. You think about that match 2, right? If they weren't sent on by VP in the end, if Wolves hadn't have taken that fight against them as well, they were in a pretty good position. We could have been seeing Liquid maybe 60 points after 3. Bear in mind, like, 45 points after 3 is a fantastic total.
I wanna eat something,
They would
yaar.
only be 5 away from from crossing the threshold.
But I don't
Very,
know
very
what
close
to
indeed crossing that
eat.
threshold, and one team who's crossed the threshold and got that win on the board after qualifying, of course, for the Split 1 playoffs.
LC है ना मतलब?
We've got a member of their team down on the floor right now with Rain Day. Who have you got for us?
All right, thank you so much, Onset and Gasket. Great call there. I am here, yes, with a member of Dinos, although Dinos and him do not have common in age because this man is 19 years old. J Future. Some might know you as Future Streams if they were grinding some 3
Last time, हाँ वो लोग out हो जाएंगे हारे तो.
like 2 years ago.
लग तो रहा है मुझे हारने वाले हैं.
Challenger circuit.
भाई कल जीतते ना ये लोग मजा आता. जीत
Talk
सकते
about your
थे. कल
journey
अच्छा
from
खेल
where
रहे
you
थे.
were just a little bit ago as a teenager now to being here at this moment.
Well, it's obviously a big difference playing in person versus online with Challenger Circuit. And with Challenger Circuit, you play for like 6 to 8 hour days. And here it's just a couple hours, but then you have so much like transport, which is also tiring. So it's a very different experience, but at the same time, it's kind of similar. The difference is that you can see all of your fellow competitors and how amazing they are as well.
You know, hailing
Arvind
from
bhi
Ontario,
hai.
I talked to you about how
I
you've
think.
done any other esports. No, but you did remark to me that this moment feels more comfortable to you than playing online. Why is that?
I'm not honestly sure, but I think it's because of the other people, like I just said. Like being able to see everyone, it just feels less intimidating. When online, they're just a big, giant personality, but then in person, they're like the same as you know?
Yeah, well, you got a great win, and one of the reasons why you can kind of lean on knowing what to do here is you've got a great coach, Kashera. He's one of our players, our pros, who's been in the scene for so long. What does he bring to your team?
Kashera has brought us like an immense increase of intelligence that kind of like balances out our lack of experience since we're a newer team, and his immense experience and knowledge is like just transferred into us, and he's coaching us right now, making sure we're locked in every game. And like we would not be able to play as well as we are right now without him, for sure.
Well, you guys have been amazing in Pro League. I asked some of our other pros, vets who I'd interviewed, who do you
जीत रहा है Lord.
Of course, all of you guys, Chaos yourself were mentioned, but DJ was highlighted as well. Said this guy might be next up. What can you say about DJ Killer and his impact on your team?
DJ's biggest impact is not just his shooting ability; it's his vibes, as we've said before in other interviews. He's a jolly fellow for sure, and he's always cracking jokes and keeping us our spirits up for sure.
You know, I said jolly this morning. I said I don't say jolly unless I'm talking about Santa Claus, but now there's another jolly following me. Somebody else better not say jolly on this broadcast, otherwise something's going wrong. Jay, I want to just ask one more thing as we head into it. When you look at now in this learning experience you found settled, what are some issues, what are some things you're noticing that other teams are doing really well that maybe your inexperience needs to tackle, get more comfortable with if you guys are going to go far in this tournament? What is there to improve on over these next couple of days?
I'd say our biggest problem right now, and something that a lot of more experienced teams are very good at, is knowing when to go deeper into the zone. Whereas we like to usually just sit still and kill everyone who's coming in behind us, hold them all out. sometimes there's an opportunity to push through and you see a gap and you take it, but our lack of experience kind of prevents us from doing that sometimes. We're working on that, but I've seen other teams that are really, really good at doing that. So
Jay Future, 19 years old, on a land stage at Paris. Congratulations, my man, and good luck for the rest of these 3 games.
Thank you so much.
All right, so I used to watch my YouTube channel, so I don't know. There's something to it. We'll go back to you guys. A few more games coming up as we close out our first set of the day.
Is in our DNA. Whenever we let it out, it becomes our superpower. Now imagine an entire city being built to supercharge it. Kadir City, powered by play.
Team Liquid, I don't know about that drawing right
क्या
there,
बनाया?
you guys have been performing great as you finish.
Popcorn खत्म, आम की बारी, crazy भाई.
But we gotta go back and talk about Dinos because man, the step up that we've seen out of that team go from day 1 now to day 2 graceful.
हार रही है, NS पे out है.
I mean, hey, I even doubted them in the beginning.
खत्म
They really did shut me up for that moment, but I will say they dropped staging. They had 2 back-to-back zones right on top of them pretty much. It means that they can close out a game, and they did well and plays top heavy. But when you're gifted with zone twice as well, you should be bringing in points regardless.
I'm busting out the inflatable T-Rex suit then. It's happening. Thanks, Dinos. This is the moment I needed.
Well, they also mentioned that they
Does he have time though?
The other teams are really good at, and that's
Yeah, he has time.
That's knowing when to actually push in. Is that
Golu
something
ने
that they're
clutch
able to maybe
किया.
adjust and do that today?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things, Grace, you mentioned it. They got some good zones, but sometimes
Qualification के लिए top 14 आना है.
for you as a team. And I think one of my favorite things about them and what I watched is that their team fighting was on point. There was a lot of baiting and switching. There were a lot of high-level gameplay going on to win the fights because sometimes you get those early zones.
देर सब गेम्स में करो यार support अपनी टीम को. अब बाकी तो देखो जो होगा होगा, बट हमें तो सपोर्ट करना चाहिए ना. NSP में 3-7 चल रहा है. Although attacking map है, अगर ये लोग 5-7 कर पाते हैं अभी इधर से, so maybe chance हो सकता है 7 pistol or something. But still, I don't know. और ये है भी NSP का ही मैप पिक है वैसे.
Being in person with everyone, it's like, hey, we prepared. Everyone here prepared as hard as they could. If you prepared to the best of your efforts, you should feel confident and comfortable coming into the LAN. And sometimes getting these big wins is all you need to propel yourself forward.
Yes, no, these old pros better watch out.
Last map कैसे 0-1 चल रहा है.
More articulate than some of our other players.
लेकिन मैप है.
Look, I cannot agree with you more.
Last map तो जीत गई ना वो. YJ जीत
They
गई.
know exactly kind of where they need to be and how they need to get there, so they have to have that sort of mentality.
Yeah, I mean, I love that they were able to kind of wake up, right? And talking about waking up, the opposite of that, being able to sleep, J&G
वो भी सोचो OT गए.
sleep as they are currently in 4th place after 3 games.
I mean, hey,
कल भी ऐसे असेंट पे हारे. असेंट पे लोग खत्म कर सकते थे आराम से NSP. आज अपर में खेल रहे होते फिर.
Very happy to see that for now, but can they keep this up? This is, like you said, it's a good starter, but is it enough to close out the series? We'll have to see. Overall, though, the first couple of games, Team Liquid on top in the form that we remember Zero at, as well as we see the Dinos and Falcons. Saw a little bit of rivalry where actually Zero shit on Hal, but overall couldn't close out the game. Still, though, so far, so good.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, Team Liquid, we saw
Look to my right.
that game 1. I think Zero was as frustrated as you could possibly imagine losing that fight. Like the big kill on Hal was nice, but he did not close that out the way that you would have expected him to. He had the advantage on height going against Walty and decided to drop down. And honestly, I think, wow, actually seeing this page, seeing Shopify in 20th place is unbelievable. I did not realize that. Wolves as well in 19th. I mean, man, some of the storylines going on with the top teams that you expected to come into this tournament down at the bottom of the leaderboards, you know, this is not the typical, you don't have the losers bracket. You need to step it up in this range, and that is wild to see. I did not realize it.
I mean, in game 2, right, we saw Team Liquid eliminate Wolves, and something that you were talking about in regards to Zero, you could just see the passion there. I don't want to repeat the words that he was saying, but he did not look happy when VP came in and third-partied them.
I mean, he got the revenge in the end, right? You know, in that last game where, you know, it was VP top 4 and stuff like that. So, you know, they're in a reverse revenge, but, you know, we love to see that sort of stuff. But, yeah, man, I mean, Team Liquid looking great on top. But, yeah, I'm super surprised about Wolves today.
I mean, I'll definitely say it. They inted the hell out of them. Why are you fighting this early when someone is this close to us? You just can't take that fight, immediately get punished. Honestly, it didn't even matter who won that fight. The 3P will happen regardless. You can't make those mistakes. And as you see, ended at the bottom of the leaderboard. That is definitely true. Like, it's only been 3 games, but it hits hard.
So right here is actually what I was trying to refer to at Dinos. This is one of my favorite things, and thank you for having some Prowler action. I've been waiting for it this entire time. The team fighting here from Dinos was unbelievable, and we're going to focus on something that happened here, and I just want to kind of pick it up. When a lot of players get weak, we saw it when one of the players was in the truck, and he swung out and got one of the original kills, ended up down to only about 20 health, and instead of backing up and popping a battery where a lot of people think, oh, I need to be full health for this fight, he realized that one of his teammates started aggroing
3-9 ho gaya.
on him, and instead of, you know, like I said, popping that battery, trying to get full health, he just re-swung out. It's called a bait and switch, where as soon as that person has his attention on someone else, you pop out, you know you can put the damage down, doesn't matter if you realize that you have the line of sight, and they wipe that team fight. That happened about 3 different times right before that.
किसी भी एंगल से नहीं दिखता, like
so happy to see the auto prowler come out.
Go to eye doctor, bro. Go see eye doctor. You are blind. नहीं, कोई ग्रुप गेम्स नहीं है ये. उधर गेमिंग हाउस में वॉच पार्टी चल रही है. 2 दिन ग्रुप गेम्स कहाँ से होंगे? फाज़मो पता नहीं, कुछ अपडेट नहीं है. मैंने पूछा है जरा को. फाज़मो अगर रात को होगा मैं आ जाऊंगी. एक पे फाज़मो खेलने आ जाऊंगी. बाकी अभी मेरा कोई प्लान नहीं है. फाज़मो तो क्योंकि लेट होता है. फाज़मो नहीं हुआ तो आज मैं सोऊंगी. अच्छी वाली नींद.
Maybe not. It still came down to the 1v1. He definitely did choke.
I mean, you watched it. Well,
नहीं ना, कोई बेनिफिट नहीं है. मिथिलेश, like it does not matter कि तुम #1 रहो, #3 रहो, #5 रहो. You just need like top 14 आना है. सिर्फ यही फोकस है. टॉप 14 आके क्वालिफाई करना है फिर, क्योंकि फाइनल्स में मैटर करता है तुम्हारा परफॉर्मेंस. फाइनल्स में यू हैव टू डोमिनेट. इसका फॉर्मेट ही ऐसा है. मतलब #14 भी आ गए तो भी कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ना, लेकिन बस उससे नीचे नहीं रहना. फिर सर्वाइवर स्टेज में जीजी हो सकता है. लंबी नींद मतलब वैसे नहीं, बट खुद के बेड वाली नींद अलग होती है ना, अच्छी वाली होती है. बाकी हाँ, नींद नहीं आई, कुछ खेलने मन हुआ तो मैं आ जाऊंगी. मैं इसलिए बोल रही हूँ कि मेरा कुछ प्लान नहीं है. मैं ब्रॉडकास्ट पे डाल दूंगी मैं आऊंगी तो. अभी मेरे को कुछ नहीं पता कि मैं क्या करूंगी क्या नहीं करूंगी.
I mean, there's really only 2 ways you can go. Some people get discouraged and be like, "Oh."
आज इतना लंबा ये इंटरव्यू क्यों आ गया बीच में? फट शुरू होता था बाकी दिन तो.
And boy, did he do it so far. Look at them. Look at the overall stage so far.
I mean, let's look at this overall, right? This is currently, don't worry, there's still some teams that are going to be coming in later. A lot more matches to come. I mean, Team Liquid right now, 98 points.
Yeah, I'm like, god damn, I'm popping a little.
Vikas, welcome to Cookies. Thank you.
Yesterday's performance was incredible, and today that is just absolutely turned around. Maybe we have to.
Excuse me.
Choking a little bit more just so we can see those numbers.
एक second.
You know, some of these teams have sort of moved on.
ये overall था ना सारी teams का?
There's a fair few teams that you know haven't.
अबे हाँ, सारे ग्रुप्स का है ये. कहाँ थे हम? पीछे करना पड़ेगा.
Still have a little bit more. I reckon they could push their way closer to that top 10 mark.
I'm hoping
अच्छा
that that's
नहीं
gonna be
ये
the
आज
case. I
के
mean,
दो
that-
ग्रुप
Oh,
का
damn,
है
I'm popping a little squat now. Like, when?
Overall
when?
क्यों
I mean,
लिखा है
yesterday's
फिर?
performance was incredible. And today, that is just
ऐसे
absolutely
just
turned around. Maybe we have
पे
to sort of maybe tell them that they're choking a little bit more just so we can see those numbers
20
again.
teams ही क्यों
Damn,
दिखा रहा है?
I'm popping a little
आगे
squat now. Like,
दिखाता ना और
when?
AG 30 kills 30 placement lol अपने देखो बैलेंस चल रहा है liquid 98 Falcons
When? I mean, yesterday's performance was incredible.
नहीं
Fair few
ओवरऑल
teams
है
that,
तो
you know,
बाकी
Isn't
दो
that
का क्यों नहीं
hashtag
दिखाया
gonna be the-
ओके
Incredible.
But maybe in the next one after this break.
बाकी दो का भी आना था ना How can we go back to
Welcome everyone to the Apex Legends Global Series Split 1 playoffs at the EWC 2026. I'm Vicky Kitty. I'm joined with my girl Spider Tiff, and we're going to be taking you guys through E District for our final 3 games between these two groups, Tiff, because it's been nothing but cinema all day long. And I mean, what else can you expect when you have these Titans facing off against each other?
I mean, let me just tell you, I was sipping some coffee this morning and we were talking, is it going to be Hal? Is it going to be Zero? Who's going to be standing out in Group B versus D? But as we look forward towards E-District, you know, the Falcons didn't have the best E-District yesterday, but maybe we can turn the tide. When you look at the POI draft just ahead of you, a couple things are going to be changing. Falcons this time, they're playing from heights as opposed to stadium, which really isn't too big of a difference. They're just a bit further north. I'm okay with their rotations. You know how they were. They were all over the map regardless with resets and such. We got Team Liquid playing from Lotus as opposed to Resort. It's just going to be a little bit further east, different rotation from them. They don't have to worry about Alliance in this group, right? Because they were just further south of them, a lot of contention points there. For S8UL, a very zone-oriented team, I'm actually really happy that they were able to acquire Neon Square yet again. So it's looking to be maybe a little bit of the same as we got yesterday. My only hope for this group is that we don't see all of the southern zones in E-District that we got. We did get those 2 Fun City Hall area zones, and those did shake up the lobby.
You know what happens if you say that though, Tiff?
Did I curse it?
It ends up cursing everything. You know what? And then you have to see if that's going to be how these end zones play out as we get to take a look at Falcons. A nice little panorama too to highlight what the results have been looking like already after these last 3 games alone on World's Edge. I can never get enough of World's Edge. I know a lot of people have been used to playing it, seeing it all in Pro League. I can get even more, but it's been nicer to see a different type of setting when it comes to E-District, everybody. It's game number 4 on the horizon as our pros are locked and ready, and Team Liquid holding that first place spot with 45 total points after dropping a banger of a Game 3 dub with 13 KP to their name. Can they keep this going? I mean, Dinos too, having that interview that we just saw with Rain Day when it comes to futures is getting the understanding of how these young gun legends have been able to get this inexperience and convert it into having a great performance on land.
Yeah, this is exactly where you want to continue that great performance. I was talking to just a few people before I walked up into the caster booth today, and they're like, you know, no one's really taking a hold on that leaderboard aside from these 2 teams, right? Team Liquid, Falcons. So of course we want to see what's going on with them to start off up here at the Lotus. After the bans though, Gibby, Valve, Newcastle. Interesting here.
And you know what we were actually discussing as we take a look at where the zone's pulling. You are saying if we're going to see any more southern zones, well, guess what? We probably have a draft point zone that's going to be pulling towards the outskirts of draft point. Surprise, surprise, when it comes to these E-District zones. But highlighting the conversation that we were having in the green room about the different legend compositions and how you could try to force out some of these bans before you convert into a different map. Would you rather deal with a Mad Maggie and the Riot Drill when it comes to coexisting on all these buildings on E-District, or when it comes to maybe a Gibby being brought into the mix, right? And it's a lot of these questions where when you usually see Crypto at 100% pick rate get removed within our 6-game series after game number 1 alone, it enables the likes of Watson. It enables the likes of having the Caustic out into the play. And that's why you're seeing a lot more of that influx here as you get to see a lot of these Watsons, the Gibbies on top of it all. But I also like the inclusion of a different mix-up here. It's the axles also, the Valkyrie with the baby cup, and I'm not surprised because you have to have that human UAV when she takes to the skies in scanning which of these buildings in the late zone is going to be available for you to play off of.
Yeah, I mean, totally. As we look here at Wolves, currently in 19th place overall on the day. Not the strongest performance so far out of this group, but E-District is their strongest map of the tournament. So taking this engagement here, being the only team to have their IGL on Rampart. Very identifiable. With the wall down and the mobile shield, we're going to have to find a way around.
Two more of these teams now as Wolves are going to be able to hold on to the high ground of this bridge, but the action has not stopped as we take a look at Zipline Mafia on the other end of having to deal with the Axel. Tyraka, who is the first victim as he gets dirtied. Great start for Zipline Mafia. Not so great of a start, though, for Aurora, seeing if they're going to be able to reset fully here. And looking ahead, too, with the other teams who are also making their move. And this is what you can expect when it comes to these different compositions, too. You bring in the baby cup, you got the Valkyrie, and she's babysitting. It's going to be a different look as they're going to be able to find some landing spots. With Aurora, who are now forced to play as a duo. Zipline Mafia are out for blood, and they're looking to capitalize.
Well, I mean, if you've got excuse and effect being landed on with the white shield, that is so not good. The other player at least does have purple, but an easy cleanup for them to leave Aurora as a solo, their Watson player. They did have that information on where he was located, but for now, we'll see. We already burned the Valkyrie. 11% away from the defensive bombardment. But for now, you can just see Genji to the south, Falcons on the prowl behind them. They're going to keep hearing those shots and likely push up on this.
I thought my screen moved over to the side real quick. I was like, all right, hold on. We got to look over to the other side here as Zipline Mafia now start moving forward. Talk about what's waiting for them, though, here. Shopify were also trying to get contested with the survey beacon while Zipline Mafia walking away after getting that KP with Falcons. You already mentioned looking on the horizon to see if they could 3P, but that's not the only thing too, right? Because you have that survey beacon and ring console once you come out of those bunker doors that you can see by Zipline Mafia. And they were able to quickly turn things around, and Aurora now down to just that solo. At least with Falcons showing up, it allowed that solo from Aurora to have some respite. So let's see if they're going to be able to fully reset while Falcons now move up towards that survey beacon ring console where Genji are at.
Yeah, and the best part about that is the Falcons are running Watsons. They will be able to utilize that ring console, but however, Genji encroaching on that territory will stand tall for that time being. Team Heretics, on the other hand, they're on that northwestern side of the circle in which Team Liquid has been rotating into. The enemy pings going about, but I'd love to go ahead and grab this Evo Cash prior. And they're going to do just that. They do have ultimates in tow in case they do get into an engagement with Team Liquid. If I'm Team Liquid, though, I want to focus on getting into that circle. Zero zone
and that's why they've been able to find so much consistency so far within this group, keeping their first place spot, as Heretics were trying to mirror them originally before now trying to prioritize those objectives, boosting up those Evo shields as well as the information off the survey beacon. And as they are going to be able to move up towards that northern spot, other teams like Unlimit and Zipline may be facing off against each other for the fight of that information too. Perfect cue here as Zipline Mafia lose out on one. Full 3 squad though, or 3-man rather, with Unlimit now moving up. They have the priority over on the survey beacon, and no rest for you though, says Peace. Does the opposite of what Peace means after finding Kazakh again. And now Unlimit want to be able to capitalize off of this, especially since they're one of the teams rocking the fuse.
The best part about that is it was the Newcastle player, Kazakh, right? He's the one that initially went down. They prio-to-res him to get him back on his feet. So if we need to, we can slam a mobile shield down and make sure we have a bit of cover. When it comes to groups B versus D, Unlimit are really strong in this matchup. They got 3 top 3 finishes, and they haven't really showed us what they could do on our World's Edge side of things early on. So maybe E-District is where they turn it around because we're outside 10th place, Mickey. And we're starting to get closer to the point where you want to avoid the survival stage.
Yeah, right? Because now, since you find yourself in that midpoint, you're seeing some of these Legends compositions come out with Unlimit. Still finding these shots off
overall,
the low, man.
okay there, not bad
and
not good.
You know, when you have the different changes moving up with Fuse, just boosting around like he's on a trampoline with his own knuckle cluster. In the distance, though, they hear the shots As Flat also get a knock in the feed. The Axel, though, going out. Ilari Man's looking with a double ult, though. He had the perk. He gets the follow right afterwards, and they get the knock. Nobody is safe. Literally sandwiched them. That's unlimited. Know what's at stake. You can hear the Valkyrie take to the skies, get out of the situation here, and eliminate them. We're gonna let that Valkyrie go out for now because they got the KP that they wanted. Still 20 squads left, though, in this lobby. Remember what we saw very early on when it came to Aurora, who were able to get that full reset. So now we have to see if Zipline Mafia do something similar, as well as Dory, who are now moving away as a duo, both of those teams, and more of these other squads. If you take a look at Shopify, who will be rotating over onto the fan side and coming into Viaduct, as well as Falcons, who are now taking that roundabout rotation through the choke that exits out of Hammond.
Well, I love what Team Vision is doing here, and I love that you're highlighting Shopify as well, but Team Vision has sent their Watson player out into the ring to make sure we can snag the ring console at Street Market, so when it comes to their rotation, we can guarantee that we're not on the wrong side of an E-District comp. Once we get into endgame, oftentimes we've seen a lot of our teams call one side of a certain area, and then we see this massive exodus that's required once it pops to the other side. They get that information. You know Zach Mazur's going to be talking to Loader and Carter and say, all right, where do we want to play from? But when you look at the circle, you already have TLN Pirates, our French roster, who didn't do the best on day one, but that's okay. We found them in a decent spot, but they have the Falcons at their back across this building, right? So we are just basically going to be staring at each other the whole time. And to be fair, the TLN Pirates run blues and whites in terms of our shields.
I mean, having that trade-off, right? When you find yourself on the high ground buildings, on those rooftops, right? You have that poke battle, but Team Falcons recognizing that are actually moving over to the northern building, closer to the bridge that leads into Viaduct. That is rather open, actually, especially on that second floor, because they did hear another team wrap up behind them, but Genji don't commit to that choke that we saw Falcons now rotate from, and now Genji are trying to face off against Aurora, who once again were able to get that full reset, but they're still feeling the pressure. Genji wanted to clean up that southern side of zone so that way they could clear out that side of bridge, while Dino, see this little side-by-side of the fans trying to give them their energy, but you can see the dome put in right here by Shipyard Arcade. Aurora and Genji now finally facing off against each other, with Asia getting the finishing blow onto Oirain.
Here's the deal, though. Reminder, Oirain was the solo from Aurora, and they tried to go ahead and hit a regain. Genji, who's been looking much better than yesterday, which I can only imagine. They finally got some sleep. Okaxis, though, says, you can't have Oirain. I'm going to take this
top 14 to qualify for
and a 1v1 across effect.
Wait.
जल्दी खेले थे यार हमारा ग्रुप डी है हर ग्रुप के एक दिन में 6 गेम्स होते हैं 4 ग्रुप से टोटल तो कल 6 हुए आज 6 अब कल 6
every group right now looks up. He doesn't want to try to risk it because he is playing on low ground too. A little bit of these open positionings here, as you can see,
they have to be top 14
with Effect being the last one alive for Aurora, trying to keep the dream alive here, with the ring also closing in right behind his back. It's a scattered triple team, with Dogred being the only full trio, but they only sent that one player towards the bridge to see if they could 3P. They're also one of the teams rocking the Axel, as we're going to be able to see Zicky pull off the res off the Moby.
He gets it. He goes down to Shipyard Arcade, hits the craft, gets the res off, and you know that Effect inside that circle is going to be like, I'm waiting to do this yet again. Hopefully he takes a different angle, but you know you're not going to be alone. I see a Rogue Carter on all the way on the left-hand side of the screen, which means Team Vision, even after getting the information, did not rotate in yet, but we'll keep tabs on that. There's likely going to be a breakout fight.
So smart with E36 now going down, 18 squads still left. Aurora was trying to get away. They took the jump tower. There is no way we just witnessed a drive-by. Genji said, Effect, not today. They pull off the res, they land on his head, and they take the rest of Aurora out of this lobby.
Genji doing exactly what they needed to do. Coming into this series, they were sitting just one place outside that auto-elimination from not even being able to advance to the survival stage, and they're currently third in our series. But now as we pull up that circle, we talked about Team Vision. They're south, looking for that info from Shipyard Arcade. They'll have a clean rotate towards the north. The contention point will be Dog Red. Over towards the east, you have Falcons set up with Zipline Mafia just to their side. And honestly, the French TLN Pirates, they've had a power position inside that next circle too.
And playing's very split too, right? Because again, they're also one of the teams rocking that altar. They have that TP set up inside the building in case they need to reposition quickly, sending one of their teammates out on top of the bridge, where Shopify Rebellion are trying to coexist around them, just putting the pressure with Falcons being right alongside them. But with so many of these other teams committing to playing a little bit more so towards that northern side of Draft Point, we saw where that zone is pulling, Tiff. We know it's going to be pulling more so towards that bridge side, where Dog Red are kind of hugging by that Evil Harvester. Gen G are now wrapping behind Team Heretics, and Vision 2 taking their time as they are going to be able to take on top of the evac tower, see where they could find their landing.
Oh, I'm ready for this. Gen G, Team Heretics have found each other on the outside of circle. Passing like ships in the night, we go straight for White Grim Reaper Neo. Now, if you remember WGR Neo from yesterday, they put up a 15-kill map win, and Gen G has to push through them. So immediately take that damage from the triple take. It's going to make this difficult because we need the climb up. We need to push WGR back.
Neo are playing out of their minds, trying to carry some of that momentum into today. Seeing with the way that Team Liquid have been able to hold on to that first place spot, one of the teams rocking that baby comp though in the middle of a lot of the action with Shopify also neighboring to their south as well as Unlimit, who've now moved up. But Neo, as they are approaching Gen G, they're looking to skedaddle. See them boosting away like a bunch of go-karts as they try to race off, but Dog Red are just waiting for them on the outskirts of this next zone pool, which they had that information for before, but they're busy with Team Heretics looking at them to try to take that fight. So 2 isolated fights here as we get to see VP now eliminated at the hands of Dino.
You're telling me the Dinos, after a map 2 win, go to E District and have found their first clean fight. They are feeling good. They had that interview. He's like, look, I'm playing better on land. I'm feeling more confident. But here's the fight we were waiting for. Gen G and Neo immediately get that knock, but the trades come in, and Zicky tries to take a crazy angle, but Val gets away.
I mean, all right, if you can't clip her wings, that's fine. She'll get to see another day for now with those alternator shots missing out. Aqua, though, going to be able to try to deviate from trying to pull off this shield bat. Zicky dropping down like a hot potato. The fake out though, dropping right in front of the door, trying to prevent the reset, now being the last one alive for Gen G. The pings are coming out. You already know the comps are saying, let's just get reset here. But then the triple take from a distance is looking to freeze them.
Consistent performance.
Those triple takes are rogue all over the place. Even Jesco with the kill feed doing some work for himself with his.
बहुत अच्छा नहीं, but yeah, it was decent.
But Neo's back up to a full 3, now looking to get fully healthy. Gen G, this fight is being drawn out in time is of the essence. In 25 seconds, we have to get to that circle, and Dog Red is going to capitalize on a nice third party if they're not too careful.
इसमें battle royale
taking their
है,
time too while they're still looking at Team Heretics because they feel a little bit of that pressure, but they're looking in both directions, right? With still Gen G, with still Neo, neighboring that building right alongside them, but Dinos playing split up too, very similar to what we were seeing earlier when it comes to Pirates. Yeah, and it's honestly about clearing up that north side of zone too, because they know that there's going to be a collapse there with S8UL, with Kidasame Havoc, as well as Shopify, who eventually will be able to move up towards that bridge.
Here's the thing though with Dinos, is they're being held at bay by S8UL and a triple take from Jesco. So we've got to keep tabs on that. There's a couple people that are running it for the mid-range, but thankfully with Valve, we don't have to go on foot. We're now getting the location of everyone in our lobby, and it's like, hey, what's available? Chaos maybe? Falcons and an electrified bubble down below looking to heal. And Alter Portal straight towards the angles. Let's see.
Finding Dory.
Our get out of jail free card.
Being one of the few teams not rocking a Valkyrie, right? When everybody's taking to the skies, it's like they're willing to foamy, looking up, but it's like a billion Valkyries trying to find their spot into this next zone. TLNP though, now looking ahead, being one of the teams with the RE, longbow in hand, having that TP set up too, but it's a huge pile up in that one building that we were talking about from the very beginning, Tiff, when it came to Pirates. It's Gen G, Pirates, Falcons out of that situation, by the way, looking at that entire mess and saying, don't worry, we'll poke at you from afar.
We'll get it. Meanwhile, we lose out on WGR Neo. We lose out on Shopify Rebellion, who are having kind of a dud of a series, but Unlimit. We talked about them having the chance to take 3 top 3 series in a B versus D matchup, and let me tell you, we're on 7 kills and we're looking pretty good. However, when you keep your tabs on that east side you're mentioning, Gen G, TLN Pirates, Zipline Mafia now have to move, and Wolves, who know that E District is their best map, are one of the only teams in the next circle.
Unlimit are also just riding out this momentum. They have like 7 KP to their name. They're putting in so much damage, which goes hand in hand when you're running a composition like that. You got the Fusey out, the Sparrow, and the Axel. Almost like I'm rubbing my eyes like it's another day of rain. Well, Genji, though.
मोबाइल वाला अच्छा नहीं था इफेक्ट आई डोंट नो बहुत लोग को पसंद आया
But now the 3P
मेरे को
comes
तो
in.
कभी
Genji
पसंद
get
नहीं
eliminated.
आया
It's only up to Kiner here to clutch
वाला
out because
Apex is
Falcons
crazy.
have now knocked on the door and moved up like the Kool-Aid men.
And they are going to be poised, but Gil tries to take the challenge in Zipline Mafia, already 45 in
भाई
hand,
तो देखो वो लोग पे जो ये लोग का हेल्थ बार है ना वाइट कलर का और उसके ऊपर जो है ना अलग अलग कलर का वो लोग का शील्ड होता है अब वो कलर से पता चलता है कि अच्छा शील्ड है कि उतना अच्छा नहीं है हाईएस्ट इज रेड वाला बेस्ट शील्ड है उसके नीचे पर्पल है देन ब्लू है
We've seen it before. It looked a little different. But what do? Do we disengage away from this 5% away until we have ult?
The comms though, I like the way the panic is slowing down. Listening to Zero here while Falcons still has a full 3-man are looking to pop this med kit for now because they're gonna have to take some of this circle damage unless you are the altar going right through a zipline waiting for him on the outskirts. At least one member zipline is still inside the next zone as Falcons now it's too much pressure. They get eliminated. Now TLNP though
और मुझे इतना नहीं पता कि स्पोर्ट्स में कुछ अलग होता है गेम से तो पर पहले गोल्डन भी होता था अभी गोल्डन है नहीं है लेकिन इसमें तो नहीं दिखता
try to see if they can find a spot to exist with
पहले
all
तो
these
होता
teams
था
facing off against
गोल्डन
each other as Unlimit get eliminated.
Wolves down, Unlimit down.
मेरी नॉलेज वहीं तक सीमित है गाइस जब मैं खेलती थी
Cannot recreate the success he saw yesterday, but that's okay for Team Heretics. They find a lot of space and a cheeky angle straight towards Dogred, Dinos, and S8UL.
Team Heretics gonna be able to hold this angle here together with Dog Red, but Dinos is busy with S8UL. Dog Red harassing them from the high ground, and Team Heretics with 4 squads left. Dinos get eliminated. S8UL were able to take some chunks out of them.
अपनी टीम है
I really like this spot from Team Heretics. We see this all the time with a zone like this, holding onto this high ground. When Team Vision are playing off that low ground alongside S8UL.
Dude, they are turtled up, just waiting for this end game, staying out of sight from Team Heretics. S8UL though found success in B versus D as well as Wolves.
Wow.
And I thought they were one of the most consistent teams when it came to this matchup. They were able to obtain 2 wins in a recent scrim setting, however, low points. But did you see the amount of kills they have, Vicky?
Oh, yeah.
It's a good game for them.
Exactly, like 9 KP already alone. I'm not surprised when you have crazy talent that has made up S8UL. Vision 2 with Team Heretics getting eliminated. Our last 3 squads here. All 3 members up for our last 3 squads. Dog Red too, looking at S8UL, but Dog Red have the high ground.
Dog Red, Vision, and
S8UL. As they paint the floor up here on this bridge with these walls fences harassing Visions.
The best part about this is, even though Carter did fall,
Dog Red, Vision, S8UL, but अपने S8UL दोनों के बीच कुछ नहीं इधर है
you have to continue. Who's going to go where in the portal? The bubble is down straight to the chow on a Dog Red.
This is so smart from S8UL though. Great communication. They TP in and they put down the Gibby bomb, and we see the Beamage coming in with the R9. L-Star gets the follow-up knock onto Papa Feeve with 3 squads.
Papa Feeve is
playing out of his mind. They want to prevent the Reds from coming in. A
last nice one. Dog Red को बाहर कर दिया Vision वाले. नहीं Vision के साथ टफ हो सकता है मुझे लग रहा है.
And we are just hit fire.
Oh, nice! Oh,
go! Are your winners?
Go! Finally champion.
Can we talk about the dangers
of
having Legacy with the L-Star and how they even got to the high ground? Having the altar portal, get them up there. They put down the Gibby dome. They move up. He continuously harasses them. And is able to split his attention to the amount of people that he had to focus on, whether it be that one player on top of the crate, whether it be having to move up from the Gibby dome. But it was the space bot with the composition that they were rolling up with.
Let me just tell you, I am so impressed with that performance. 15 kills throughout the duration of that. And when you think about S8UL, I did have a chance to speak with them yesterday. I had a great chat with not only Legacy, but Sharky himself. And most notably, guys, you would remember Sharky is a former LAN champion. He is impeccable, but I feel like one of the things that he was highlighting most with the current team is his communication. He's like, we have been so good at communicating, and I think that is the strongest thing that you need to work on when it comes to adapting in our current meta, because everything is so flexible, and you have to make sure navigating the bans, navigating the different maps, the fact that we threw World's Edge into the mix here for B versus D today, they are doing everything they need. So I'd love to step back and see what just happened with Team Vision, and we're going to where Team Heretics yeeted straight onto them.
I mean, it's the fact that the Aussies are coming in swinging, and it's no surprise here when we have the experienced players that make up S8UL, and as we take a look at the highlights, even at the very end here,
भाई मेरी अंदर की आवाज बट सही आती है। पहले जितनी बार हुआ ना कि मुझे लगा नहीं चैंपियंस तो नहीं बने और अभी लगा बनेंगे है बे कुछ है।
And you still have the L-Star to also contest a team who is trying to play around the edge of the dome and get a little dance going. Pop-offs in the crowd. Jesco alone in that game dropped 7 KP as we get to see the pop-off. S8UL showcasing that consistency.
I was like listening to what their coach was saying because the boys they got this celebration out and we got 0 over there. What are we?
Let's go, boys.
You know what? He's probably giving some words of encouragement. He's probably like, you know what, guys, that was a really
How
good
was your
game.
flight? My flight was like very big and very heavy.
I think that's the
case.
And yeah, it was like flying.
I love it. I love the energy that we have here.
It's cute.
It is super good. I love the bucket hat too. Yeah, it's really nice. It's great to have the energy here in the crowd as we tune in from Paris, but also highlighting the great sportsmanship that we've seen, whether it be, Waltzy, a choke. That one is definitely going to be one of my favorite gifts that I got to replicate here in our...
Free Fire में उसका मुझे कुछ idea नहीं।
Absolutely. And we get to see what other stickers we add to our collection because you like it. You like it when you see S8UL perform just like that. 15 total KP off that 4th game alone. And Tip, as you highlighted getting ready into E-District, time is of the essence, right? Group stages, we're already on the 2nd day. You're kind of figuring out, if you're falling behind, you have to do a little differently, how the different legend bands have come into fruition, and whether that's kind of worked against you.
Are you like new to this world? Flight आपको airport पे छोड़ती है, वहाँ से आपको खुद आना पड़ता है.
For our first 3 games before we go right back over to E-District.
Yeah, Shopify Rebellion, we're kind of in that mid-pack when thinking about the survival stage,
and
that's great, as long as you're not in that eliminated bubble. Teams like,
this was very much needed, bhai.
Pirates, Dog Red, Team Heretics, those are 3 teams coming into the series that really need to be cognizant about that. But some more highlights of that is when you get
27 points, 15 kills.
You have the dinos up top.
That means 13 होता है winner का.
Swoop on them. You get the bubble, you go straight in, take a massive to their face. That is my favorite form of bubble.
12 plus 13.
It's nice when you get a little dance in right here. As we get to
तो
see
first को 12 मिलता है तो second को 10 मिलता होगा या 11 मिलता है.
The holy meatballs makes your eyes water. I mean, tell me. It's the way that you're also able to put down these domes, split your attention as Vision wanted to go in for the 3P. I mean, just imagine if they were one of the teams that didn't rock out with the Gibby. That's why Gibby is banned going into the next game. Most picked legend for game number 4, and that's no surprise here when Maggie was the 3rd legend ban after game number 3. We get to see great support here from our crowds coming out to show their energy here, Tiff.
I saw Cybercats logo on there. Yeah, we got some Cybercats former players up in here. You do.
इससे थोड़ा balance out हो जाएगा जो first game हम first में गए थे ना. Gibby band.
So we take a look at our legend band draft here. Of course, Gibby once again is going to be the next legend out of E-District. We still got 2 more games to go here on this map.
Yeah, so this is actually very typical from the most recent series they ran prior to running match point final scrims. They went Crypto Seer, Mad Maggie, Gibby. Now, if we're going to anticipate what we could possibly see, could be a coming ban on Watson. Ulcer usually doesn't get banned until after game 6, and we're only playing 6-game series. So we're going to have so much alter on E-District, which has been really opening up a lot of those aggressive plays that we witnessed in our prior game, getting out, and just kind of navigating the field. But for our teams that are finding themselves at the bottom of the overall leaderboard, this is where I'm challenging you. It's going to be Shopify Rebellion. I'm calling you out just a smidge. I'm going to need you guys to step up because you're not on this page, all right? For now, Team Liquid at the top 52 points. Dinos, an impressive showing here.
Yeah, it's go overall.
Exactly, right? Because if you take a look at J Future, we just spoke to him just a little bit before diving into game number 4. Is J Future's coming out with
finding Dory
total KP over the course of these last 4 games alone, and that's with Panic trailing right behind him, with Team Liquid holding first place overall over the course of these last few games with 13 KP.
Chicken क्या होता है? It's champion.
Shot.
Champions.
This key crusher in the background. It's so scary, bro. If I come here, I don't want my key crushed. I've also been actively avoiding that area. I don't know why. I used to work in risk management, and let me just tell you, I feel like I need to avoid the key crusher.
I was gonna have to highlight it. It takes like days to build it.
Oh, they're gonna say days to crush the key.
No, that's instant actually.
भाई अंकी ने जो डाला है वो लोग का फोटो आया उस पे उसमें क्या लग रही है बे जर्सी
that double disrespect of the game-winning team for the day to really move up and crush all your
भाई क्या लग
brains up
रही है
and make
जर्सी
one of their
मस्त
opponents
क्रिएटेड
to do the job for them. But again, just to highlight, guys, match number 5 is on the horizon. It's crazy to see how a lot of these teams have been able to shape up going onto E District. Don't go anywhere because we got a short break, and when we come back, we got game number 5.
Now, the proud founding partner of EWC, powering the biggest event in gaming, shoulder to shoulder with the world's best, making history.
Free Fire Gaming में आपको ना लिस्ट देती हूँ सबके Instagram का आप सबको मैसेज कर देते
reach your impossible.
इतने बूया हुए अपने आप थोड़ा जल्दी आ गए हो बूया के लिए आपको आना है कितने दिन बाद भूल गई मैं डेट भूल गई
Welcome back, everybody. We got the crowd going wild. I'm right behind that banner, by the way.
Should we stand up? Should we try to peer over?
Even if I stand up, you won't see me. But you'll see Team Wolves and their support as they rally up the troops behind us here. We're getting geared and ready to go for game number 5 on E-District. Team Liquid right now has been putting on quite a masterclass. It's about that consistency, though, Tiff, when it comes to moving on from World's Edge into E-District.
It's kind of wild. When I was thinking about it and looking at some recent runnings of this matchup, I've been kind of hyping up. It was Team Liquid, Unlimit, Falcons, and S8UL were the 4 teams that I had kind of put into it that I was like, this is the squads that are going to be the ones to look out for. They've got multiple wins, and actually I don't believe Team Liquid had taken a win in that series, but good thing they showed up today. A 2nd place in Map 1, a win in Map 3 was fantastic. Dinos putting their name into the mix, and then S8UL getting 1 win in Map 4. With 2 to go on E-District, I'm looking for more out of Team Liquid. They looked great on World's Edge, and I think that they can replicate it. Sure, E-District yesterday, we talked about it, they had some issues running in with Alliance on that early stages, but they're out here in this lobby. We move on up towards the Lotus, but the southern zone definitely hurt them a little bit.
And we see that so consistently, too, when it comes to E-District. And coming out of that POI over by Lotus, we got to see if Team Liquid is going to be able to replicate what they did on World's Edge for game number 3 with 13 KP, but with the crowd rallying up behind me, I want you guys to rally up with me because we got game number 5 to go here with the ALGS. It's been great to see groups B and D, and now we have to find out who will come out on top. Will it be Team Liquid holding their ground, or will another come trailing up and take it from them?
And that's exactly what it's all about here at EWC. Take what you want, right? Everything is earned, Vicky, and if you're not working for it, you're not getting it. And right now, with Team Liquid just 5 points ahead of Dinos, 2 maps to go. And honestly, that win from S8UL leapfrogged them up into 3rd. But gearing up here, we'll keep tabs. S8UL, I told you, they nabbed Neon Square, just like they played in E-District yesterday. So knowing that they'll have prior to those southern zones, we went towards that draft point area and map number 1, great for them. Very easy to get over there. For now, when you see that first initial circle pull, I'm looking at Dinos at Energy Bank. Now, Energy Bank endings of Vicky are so fickle because there's a lot of places to play from, but it could pop a couple of different ways.
Yeah, right. Like usually by the bridge sides, right? And a lot of these teams usually get to coexist underneath these bridges, but I'm always scared when it comes to rotating early into a zone like this. You could expect that from like the likes of VP, who have already called in that evac tower. And since we say goodbye to Gibby, Baby Comp no longer seeing Valk as the babysitter. Instead, you're going to be making your way with some new compositions. Newcastle still kind of being that main face. I really love the inclusion, though. If it's not going to be like that Fuse, Axel, Wraith iteration, you see that Rampart too. So now taking a note of how E36 also make their rotate. Some of these teams over by their designated POIs get to walk with, not not only an Evo Harvester, but with that Survey Beacon and Ring Console to add, which is why VP were so quick to rotate, as we also see from Team Falcons.
Yeah, love that they got this, right? Falcons over at Heights do get Survey Beacon and Ring Console, so know that they're running Watson. They immediately pop onto the Ring Console, see where they need to go, take to the skies, and land quickly. I'm talking, I think we are just about 2 minutes of duration into this match, and we've already found ourselves fighting for a power position into Energy Bank. Wolves and Zipline Mafia with quick prio rotates are going to be down on the southern side, and this is maybe where Wolves can start turning things around, right? You have prio to the zone, you can take some fights and secure your spot, but if you did this good in E-District yesterday, we have 2 maps to turn it around.
It's just been rough, right, in general, sitting in 18th in the overall standings for Wolves. Now as they start rotating the double white Evo, one of those blue Evos with WinX here, VSN, who are by draft point, are going to be able to get the information off the Ring Console. Dory trailing right behind them, but there's also that Survey Beacon too. It's another reason why I really do like landing at draft point. You also usually have like a light arsenal before trying to rotate into that southern choke of Energy Bank. But remember when I mentioned when it comes to rotating early here, it's beneficial if you find yourself underneath one of those bridges, you're able to bunker down with the amount of Watson comps that we do see, playing into those defensive comps. But then you have to worry about the teams who are gonna have to take a longer rotate, like WGR, Neo, who do have that Ring Console and Survey as they move out of Blossom Drive. But other teams are gonna be like S8UL, who had one heck of a game number 4 with 15 KP, trailing behind Dinos, as they have 38 points to their name. TLNP, though, already getting involved with this fight versus E36.
Yeah, they hail from draft point, immediately dive up towards the north, but they have found themselves, you're right, surrounded by Interforce 36. Falcons out towards their left, but Wolves, on the other hand, are gatekeeping Team Vision. We're side by side, and while this necessarily doesn't have to break out, these two are on the south side, but we're currently in that zone. And you don't want to draw too much attention to yourselves because there are other teams still working their way up from the south side of E-District.
Going on next here too with Zek, who's been so on point when it comes to trying to call out a lot of these end zones too, but it was about getting the info with the Survey Beacon. They're getting pinged from afar by a longbow here. You can see the pings. Wolves were looking at them originally. They have their TP set up, but another team is also going to be Dory by the bridge side that we just saw
Go
in
match
our last
5
end zone. Waltzy, though, playing off the little lip of the fence line. I love taking fights here, but it's very risky if you don't know if your back is cleared, so they would rather not risk this because look at the setup that they have underneath the bridge. The same bridge that I mentioned when we see a lot of these zone pools. They have the Watson fences painted all over the floor. They got the Newcastle barrier already set up, and they're splitting their attention with the pileup that we're currently seeing over by Energy Bank.
And it's a really interesting decision, right? Because Falcons have Alter, so they can disengage through the walls just like that. But when you look at TLN Pirates, they've elected to play the Wraith, and they're also one of the 3 ramparts that are in the lobby. We can use those amped covers for a lot of deterrence to them, but also our portal's not going to take us through the floor though. That's on Alter, so you really have to keep an eye on the fact that Team Falcons are existing so close to you.
It's also important to highlight that we have a tie between the legend picks of Newcastle and Watson, so it really comes down to which of these teams find themselves in that first place spot, with Team Liquid holding on to the high ground. It's going to be Panic over onto that Watson, while Sykes holds on to the rooftop with the Newcastle 0. So we're going to be able to put in some pings because there's going to be a team waiting for them on the other side of the building here. Team Liquid are looking at Dog Red as they do set up that TP too, but they're not alone. If Liquid commit to trying to take that fight while they're still waiting on info, because there's a Ring Console to their north, so they're expecting other teams to rotate from that choke specifically.
हाँ भाई तो मेरे को last time किसी ने बोला था कि स्पोर्ट्स में पर्पल मैप से, but then आज मैंने रेड देखा.
The don't pull up zone, because Fly is also looking at this fight, but they're splitting their attention to the team pileup that's in the middle of Energy Bank, so they're just trying to show presence.
Definitely are. You can see we've got the jetpacks going, and
how many matches are left?
आज for Team Vision. We've claimed
दो
the
बचे
building
हैं ये and
S8UL
एक और
across
होगा
the
इसके
way.
बाद. फिर अपने कल रात को होंगे.
Not quite. Maybe
Game में भी
over on Team Vision, so relatively equal there. And for now, they can kind of coexist until we see what is going to happen. Do we pull towards the east or the north side of Energy Bank, or do we get the circle for ourselves?
The reason why we see usually those defensive legends, while E36 Snap actually goes down. Kiner's going to be able to get the finishing blow off of that player leading E36 as a duo. And with this nice overview here of the teams that are still rotating in, Neo are looking at Zipline Mafia, while Dory are going to be able to take advantage of the Ring Console.
You know, it's crazy. I was like, oh, we'll see if it
हाँ,
pulls
तीनों
north,
है,
we'll see if it
revive हो
goes
गया
east.
होगा ना,
Why
मैंने
am I
बोला ही था।
doubting S8UL and Team Vision? They have been
Starting
some
में
of
तो
the best zone calling
कोई
teams in the
जाए तो हो
entirety of
जाता
LAN
है।
thus far and in Split 1. So knowing that they've elected to coexist on that southeastern side, they get the zone pull. Typically where we saw that E36 fighting is over in the center. You can see the big red team Falcons. That's like 3 or 4 teams stacked on top of each other with Team Liquid just above them. Shopify Rebellion, instead of going straight into Team Liquid, have carved their path out to a diagonal just to the right side of them. And I'd imagine that in our next, I'd say 1 to 2
डैमेज
minutes,
ही वो कुछ
we're going to lose a lot of
खोलने पे
teams.
होता है अपग्रेड
That's what's happening
अरे
with
बट
a
मेरे
lot
को
of the
किसी ने
teams
बोला
that
था
struggle
स्पोर्ट्स
to
में
get in some of
पर्पल
these
ही है
early rotates
अपना
who are getting gate catched by
और
these
अभी
chokes
यश
on
तो कह रहा है कि गेम में भी
E-District, so,
पर्पल ही है तो
Alter
पता
in the
नहीं
mix
क्या।
and still Valkyrie. Skewz is going to be able to put in the pressure with this 30-30. Has that gold sniper stock, by the way, as well as that purple heavy mag. Nice shots here, but even if he gets the knock, it's going to take a little bit before
भाई
he
मैं
traverses
fake
this
ID
open
वालों को
ground.
hello नहीं
Z-File
बोलती
drop down and try to take this fight too. There is that server beacon right behind him, and it is a rather isolated fight because guess what? The one member of Neo is ahead of the rest of the team just to set down a TP, and they actually do manage to get out of trouble because they had a TP set up originally in another building. And Zipline Mafia wanted to try to take that fight.
Well, there we go. Survey beacon
W
activated, giving us
देवाशीष
the
S8UL
information
के लिए
which
good
we
luck
need
आया
to know.
है
Definitely need to run at that circle because time is of the essence. With 20 seconds ahead, you need to trail WGR Neo.
पर्पल ये
We talked
स्पोर्ट्स
about
में
Wolves
भी
needing
प्लेयर
a
के
comeback
POV
story on our final
दिखेंगे
2
शीरो
matches of
देखना
E-District.
पर्पल पे
They're
मैक्स
just
लेवल लिखा
outside
होगा
looking in with Genji and Aurora
तो रेड
surrounding
क्यों
them.
आया
A couple
फिर
of pokes as we recently lose
अगर वो
out on
मैक्स है तो
Interforce
रेड
36.
कैसे
Looks
आएगा
like TLNMP and Dinos.
एड्स बहुत आ रहे हैं देख लो यार फिर बढ़िया है
Jack the
थोड़े
E3
पैसे
is
लगे
going to
हुए
fully
मेरे पास
reset right there. Feeling the pressure here while Unlimit also pick up some KP. Look at Peace. Looking at Akbar.
हाय
As
संकेत
well as KSH just seeing if they could try to get this Alter right back into the fight, but having to play on that low ground is hard when
मैंने
Unlimited
इंपीरियल हॉल पे
peppering
देखी
into
थी रेड
Longbow.
2
In hand
गेम
of Peace
पहले
gets the quick little 48, but he's
अभी
already
इसमें
outside
ये
and
देखो
around
इसमें भी
the
उस
corner.
पे राइट में कौन
They're
है ये
showing
कौन
presence
है
to clear this side of the choke, very similar to what we had seen in
अबे
the previous game
गाइस
with Falcons.
कुछ अलग
When
सीन
we
है
had
वो
gotten
शील्ड
started
नहीं
on
है
E-District. Dog Red too,
राइट
looking
में
at
शील्ड
Shopify. It's one
दिख
member
रही
of
थी
Dog
उस
Red
पे
though,
बट
who's
नीचे
looking at a
देखोगे
full
पर्पल ही
3
दिख रहा था वो
Well,
कुछ और
Dory
सीन है
now
मतलब वो शील्ड नहीं है रेड
also just trying to
रेड
find their
शील्ड
way
नहीं
around
है
this
वो
next
कुछ और
building.
सीन है
Somebody needs to help the Valkyrie right here. They put down the
कहीं
10
किल
great
लीडर की
angle.
तो
And
किल
great
लीडर
suppress
में
fire.
भी
He was
हाईलाइट
120
होता
off
हो
the
रेड
hemlock.
पॉसिबल है could
A
be
little worried about this
क्योंकि
because Team
शील्ड नहीं है
Heretics
नीचे
is
पर्पल
likely
ही
going
दिख
to
रहा
look
था
for an opening onto this. They did bunker down, and having the Watson
Could be the
Newcastle will make
kill
things
leader.
difficult. I heard the wall going up. You're
Just-
likely going to
just
have a
a
pylon
guess.
directly behind it. A res coming through via audio, and WGR Neo now on that west side with the ring at their back trailing. It's Zipline Mafia and WGR basically just running side by side.
With the zone closing in right behind their backs, you know who's going to be waiting for them, Tim?
Hi, Keshav.
You highlighted them just now with Team Heretics looking at Dory. Neo are forced to take a much longer rotate. This is going to be trouble for Zipline Mafia as they were trying to originally get that full reset here. And now coming out of Neon Square, Neo are going to go through the
यूलारी
gonna be
मैन
able
का
to
ही दिख रहा है
skedaddle through
देखो
the southern side of
ये
Draft
किल
Point,
लीडर है
where
probably
Team Vision, who's been settled on the
अबे
outskirts
200
of
ही
that
डैमेज है
choke,
इसका
have
तो
been there
कैसे
for
होगा
a
ये किल
very
लीडर
long time. You mentioned that this is a team, Zach specifically,
कोई
who's been
बात नहीं
so
गाइस
good
मैं
when it comes to
रिसर्च करके
calling out
आऊंगी आज
playing in
मैं
those
तुम लोग
late
को कल
zones and
बताऊंगी
these circle pools, and they could expect a lot of these
हाँ हाँ
teams to
मैक्स
find
लेवल
themselves
लिखा
in
हुआ है
that
बट वो
pile
रेड दिख
over
रहा
onto the
है
southwestern side of zone.
Bow in hand.
वैसे अभी ज्यादा लोग मरे भी तो नहीं है हो सकता है वही किल
Can we
लीडर
locate?
I
Okay.
might be right
It's a little windy out there, and to be fair, very far
He
shot.
has
At least you're the
one.
Sparrow, and you can invest that over.
बट अभी तो ज्यादा लोग मरे नहीं हैं
Bro, if you do it, I'm screaming.
So it's something about when you look at the Sparrow,
Bro,
he's like,
मत
"Avicii."
प्रिया
It's like, okay, you just hit me from a mile away like you're Legolas.
This is what I was waiting for. We've been kind of talking about Team Heretics, Team Vision, Dory,
EH का
Havoc,
fight
where
होने
they
वाला
were all going to collapse.
EH versus
And
Dory.
finally it breaks through. Muscle Peaks goes down. Katsu King and Hiro Mone
ऐसे
are
तो थर्ड
going
पार्टी
to
कर
have to
दी
swarm around, but Team Heretics find the angle, and they immediately start pressuring through the mobile shield, down and around.
गई भाई डॉरी का तो बहुत ही गंदा दिन
And
गया है पूरा ही
S8UL rocking the rampart and hiding behind the ant barriers to get that triple take shot and grief them while they're at it. They're safe, bunkered down inside the neighboring building, looking at all
डॉरी का तो जीजी चल रहा
takes
है
a chunk out of them too. Lonzy then gonna be able to follow up to find that member of Dory that's gonna leave one up here as Dory just trying to stay alive. Team Heretics now, because trying to fight this against Havoc here, and S8UL and nobody contesting them are getting away with taking away this KP.
And the center of their map is also collapsing with Wolves falling. Jens finding a big knock there. And the altar portal to hunt down the remaining player of the team. Jumps on him, no shield back for you. Havoc out of the lobby.
Very quick here with Heretics, going to be able to get out of the line of sight by the way of S8UL playing off those side buildings and isolating their backs. Nobody to come in for the 3P while Team Vision are playing very split up. And Zipline Mafia still, by the way, trailing against WGR Neil. The fact that they were able to also just rotate, now take to the skies and stay alive. Excuse doesn't have a shield, but they have the human UAV. Scan where they can land for free.
I think red wala knockout और ये वाला
corner, doing everything, and this is where the Newcastle and Rampart comp comes into play.
नहीं ये वाला squad wipe का है.
You immediately drop the wall, you get the amped covers down, you even invest a mobile shield. We have just expended so many of our abilities to secure this place. Now, knowing that there's 16 teams still in the lobby, we are safe and fully healed for the time being.
And they're gathering around the campfire and maybe singing the friendship song here. Everybody bunkers down. We've just built the house and we're not going to be moving out of here unless somebody evicts us. Neil's getting evicted, by the way. Maybe this time it's out of the bus. It's Shenji trying to get a little bit of revenge. It's only ZywU, though, who is up and alive. Let's see if he can try to get this full reset because Team Vision are on the hunt, but they can't fully commit because Zipline Mafia are still restabilizing on the other side of that fence line after we saw them land, and they're also putting their attention onto S8UL, who are trying to arrest Team Heretics from moving up.
A flat fall at the hands of Team Liquid, and we jump immediately to our POV. One of two teams with the longest rotation, but at least you've got a Kraber in the hands of Zero to make it work. A good little pip there of what we're looking at. Shopify Rebellion on the run towards the east, and Team Liquid actually chasing them down. We decide to go out that route instead of straight into the Falcons.
Oh my god.
Taken down by Dog Red.
That's huge, and they bank
Falcons का तो शायद fight भी नहीं हुआ, मतलब एक ही point
how
मिलेगा.
a lot of these end zones end up giving some of our pros whiplash, and when it comes to trying to call out where the zone pool will be moving to.
Oh, कुछ
And they
ability है.
While Vision, they called it out being on the southern side of zone. Zach is so good.
Yes, so we understood, guys. Purple is map.
District zone pools, and you can see it displayed here, but they need to make sure that the southern side of zone is cleared
कुछ
up.
upgrade
Especially
type
if you
होगा
look at
फिर.
where the zone pool is, it's directly on top of Zipline and Team Heretics, with Visions playing more so by the edge, but teams that are flying by, looking to grief them. Shopify, Liquid trailing right behind. Zipline Mafia will be able to have a clear shot of the action happening in front of them.
Well, keep your eyes. 6 bullets in the Kraber for Zero.
Is it alive? Yup, they are
18th on the
very much
leaderboard.
alive.
Team Liquid in first. So you've got to take down the Titans of B versus D, and you're doing so. Zero down, Sykes down, Panic with a last stand and an RE45.
Oh no, oh no.
Hello,
the drones are flying about. Panic is not trying to panic here. They need some cover. Can he actually pull this off? He has to hide behind the knockdown shield. I mean, it's so much pressure. They're playing neighbor, essentially, to Zipline Mafia. And now Panic is the last one alive. Just get the quick shield swap while Dinos do get eliminating your feet. 10 squads left, and Panic is building up this fence line to prevent them from climbing up.
Well, I mean, you have to think about it this way. They have a Sparrow and a Fuse on the hands of Shopify. So they're just inundating them with the Knuckle Cluster. So, of course, Team Liquid are going to be going through it. Shopify Rebellion live to see another day. Elsewhere, TLNP, the French, take down Dog Red.
Everybody look at the way that S8UL play this. They're safe inside a building. They got 41 total points, and they're primed in a position where they can clean up this KP once that next zone closes in. And they can also look at the teams like Unlimited, like Pirates, like VP, that have to move out of the middle side of Energy Bank out in the open where it's going to be free pickings.
Well, we are in Paris, Vicky, and we were asking when TLN Pirates were going to start putting up some numbers. Up to 3 kills they go, still alive in the top 8, but Unlimited are staring this team down, investing a lot of nades, arc stars, thermites galore, and they
drops आते हैं जिसमें वो स्नाइपर आती है क्रेजी वाली उसमें मिलता है
रेड. There's no way he just slid into getting knocked immediately right afterwards, but you talk about the different legend comps as Peace is just trying to see if he could get a shield swap, but it looks like those shields in those death boxes were already swapped preemptively. Now moving up though, trying to hold to the high ground. It's only up to Peace, and he fights Pirates, and he looks to get the res. Really, it's only VP who can try to contact him, but with the zone closing in, you have little time to even fully reset if you're a limit.
Does it make sense for them to take this fight, or do we just go to circle? Because they're going to have to deal with Shopify Rebellion looking for a place to play from as well. Team Vision on that south side still keeping tabs on it, and instead we lose out on the solo of Unlimit.
Impossible to be a reset there when the zone's closing in right behind you. Even better though, Shopify looking to clean that up.
Extreme right में क्या?
Brute forcing their way into the
ऊपर
edge
बैठे हैं वही है
of zone.
शायद
Shopify trying to harass him because they also need to get right underneath Zipline Mafia. Hello, neighbor. As Zipline are looking at them through the other side of the amp barrier. The Sheilas may start singing soon while Zap with the motherload finds that knock onto weak Q.
You immediately see Kazakh just run at the
Mythic
down
armor
player.
upgrade
Weak Q
helmet.
up on its feet within 10 seconds. Great work from Kazakh there. We have to reset because Shopify Rebellion is about to do exactly what they did to Team Liquid if they're not careful. VP, on the other hand, Fuse, Wraith, Catalyst, they already used the Dark Veil. So we're just frolicking, trying not to get knocked before we get behind the fence.
Nothing to see as Prestis now climbs up. Pretty healed as he's going to be able to heal over time thanks to that AMP 4 squads left as Visions get eliminated. Shopify next. Remember what I mentioned about S8UL though? This is the whole pile up as S8UL have set one member out with the portal to try to see if they could steal some of this KP. And that is with, by the way, the original TP that they had set up. With that ultra looked like, or maybe even taking that from VP. It really depends as VP are also trying to move up on the other side of Zipline.
Look, now that we're into the top 3 as Zipline Mafia has fallen, S8UL recognize this is the time to get KP. We had 1 kill coming into this, and we don't want to rely on placement points. But Team Heretics are now in the bottom of S8UL's building with Virtus Pro across the circle.
Wait a minute, this got interesting with Team Heretics not letting go of S8UL. I mean, they really, they have no other choice though, because even if they get out of their building originally, S8UL will just be able to shoot at them for free. They have to take this fight. And with the zone now closing in behind their backs, a final zone, VP could capitalize off of this as a full 3-man with our last 3 squads up.
And here's the deal about S8UL, is they've been in this building. They haven't got to replenish their nades, but hopefully they have a few. I saw some charges on the Sheila there as well, so we could take to the roof and fire upon Virtus Pro if that is the case. But you have to keep an eye out. Do we have the mother load from the Fuse on VP?
Yeah, we did, and we yeeted it out onto S8UL.
अगर TH वाले उनको मारने लग गए ना तो अपना chance हो सकता है.
Who move up first. This is a little overzealous though because now you're stuck in the middle. You're in the line of sight.
अपन एंड में जाएंगे तो जीजी है, अपन एंड में जाएंगे तो जीजी है, जीजी हो गया.
Sharky gets the knock. They're looking to get the reset, but VP as they see them dancing around the Newcastle wall. Get them on team next. Last 2 teams up as it's going to be VP versus S8UL, and VP move up, and S8UL were able to get these shield swaps. This is huge. As Sharky and Jesco, they go crazy. Tries to get the fire shot. But VP, they have the number advantage until now. Presses one shot, and now S8UL, can they do it?
1v1
Can they get the back-to-back?
Jesco's going.
1v1.
Jesco's going, and he does it.
Let's
go with the back-to-back
God,
wins.
1v1 Jesco पे. भाई साहब.
The pop-off. Look at the way they're looking at each other. That was insane. S8UL just skyrocketed, by the way.
Stop, क्या निकाला भाई,
From
insane.
tying up with Team Liquid, who was first in the overall standings after a crazy performance on World's Edge. S8UL, the consistency on E-District. You take a game 4, you find yourself with the dub for game number 5, and you take it with 5 KP. You mentioned how
थोड़ा सा
long they were
फंसे
in
थे
that
अपन
building,
उसमें.
but I also
TH
have
पहले
to
निकली ना.
highlight the way that VP played out of Energy Bank. They were still trying to take a lot of these fights. They were trying to clean up a lot of KP. They fully capitalized off of Team Heretics, who were forced to move outside the building. Although a little early, they slammed down with the Newcastle wall, and they put themselves directly in front of VP, who gets to convert a 2nd place finish with 10 KP to their name.
That was absolutely insane to grab the double digits. You are 100% correct. The most damage taken, if I'm not mistaken, in that top. But they also dealt 6,900 damage in that entire game there, Vicky. Their damage differential was like 2900. VP went
crazy.
TH मेरे हिसाब से रुकती ना अगर थोड़ी देर तो अपन नहीं जीत पाते मेरे हिसाब से TH अगर उधर ही रुकती तो
highlights first and what led up to these final moments for game number 5, because you know how I feel, Tiff. When it comes to these game 5s, it really determines how these teams are feeling.
TH पहले गई और फिर ये लोग उस पे फोकस हो गए
specifically within this series, and what you have to do differently. S8UL are stacked up.
Guys, please like the stream.
Shots off the 30-30.
Go भाई, back to back 2 wins. और शुरुआत हमारे आज के दिन की कैसे हुई थी? #20.
Less than 120 bullets in that
था भाई.
In that R9 in general.
मजा आया भाई 2 गेम बैक टू बैक
following up to try to take these fights safely, but it's beautiful to see S8UL coming out on top here on E District, and also very similarly to Team Vision, by the way, playing off of where they predicted that zone pool was going to be over to the southwestern side of Energy Bank.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, right, for Team Vision. Yes, they get into the top 5. They got a bit more kills than they did in the prior match. They did get second, but we're still showing that consistency, which is what we are genuinely asking for our teams in the group stages moving into later in the week. Dinos, though, after some stellar performances, go out with about 3 points in that game. So knowing that they've been in the top 3 for the series results thus far, with 1 game to go, I'm looking across. Who are we cheering for? We've got all of our fans in the stands. Honestly, Vicky, this stuff started filling up early today.
I love it. This is the energy that I live for when it comes to our lands. There's no other like an ALGS LAN as we get to see the Reject fans in the crowd. RC win. I love the energy that we're seeing here. From behind us in the caster booth to the audience here in Paris, the back-to-back though. VP getting so much KP in their
By the way guys,
pockets,
pin link check करें, उधर sign up करें, आप predict करके rewards जीत सकते हैं बहुत सारे.
Kind of pepper into them while the zone was still bleeding up behind them. They still were able to get the
do check guys.
Even better in terms of pacing.
EWC fantasy last year भी हुआ था जैसे I am sure बहुत लोगों ने किया होगा. So yeah, you can do that again.
Sharing with S8UL, taking their attention away from them, and the fact that they still had 2 up when they were facing off against Jesto, man, he is just built different.
Holy! The fact that if he hits that last clip onto Preston's, that would have been disgusting. I mean, we were tracking with the R9, the hip fire, the cleanup there. He finally gets the job done, but that was a nasty sequence.
Great awareness in avoiding those catalyst spikes too on the ground, taking control over the hedge before sliding off and still working off of having, you know, whether it be those white attachments or blue attachments on that 30-30 on the R9 too, as S8UL rallying off from the back-to-back. Love to see the family in the crowd too, but again goes back to what we were talking about today, from the way that they were able to convert a lot of these final zone pools into getting the dub. Sure, it wasn't the, you know, 15 KP that we saw in game number 4, but it's highlighting the fact that they were able to close the gap between themselves and where Team Liquid is currently situated in, with a 1-point difference between themselves and first place spot.
That means game number 6 is going to be so insane. You're going to have a different storylines running. Will Team Liquid be able to make it towards the end and take the top of B versus D? Or could Dinos throw down another win? We talked about it. You got Kashera there in the back, just a real veteran in the ALGS comp scene, is coaching Dinos. So to be able to provide all of that knowledge onto these boys for their first major LAN, that is exactly what they need here today. But S8UL, I mean, they're looking clean.
Yeah, they do here. S8UL with that dub. I do believe it's going to be the Watson who is out for our final game. I don't think I saw Zero looking at the boys over the Aussies after that win.
He gave him enough positivity.
He gave him all the energy
after that.
He's like, it's your turn now.
It's like, fine, I'll go get the job done. As we look at our overall rankings in the group stages there, 58 kills, a total of 109 for Team Liquid. S8UL right behind them, but it's getting close. These group stages, I'm starting to get a little nervous, because when you think about it, top 14, you are safe. That's where you want to find yourself. Anytime you're outside of that, so long as you're above, you're not in the bottom 6, we are golden, right?
It's great here when you're really on the second day and you've kind of figured out where you situate yourself across a lot of these different groups.
I know it's an Argentina jersey, and this is going to sound really bad, guys. It's because Rain Day was in the green room. We saw the baby on the broadcast earlier. It's like, yes, the baby is in the Argentina jersey. That is 100% what we need. And now I miss my child at home.
Oh, I just love the fact that you get to rally of the family, give the support to a lot of these players at all of our international lands. It's great. As we get to see a lot of our players geared and ready to go. What will be the results post-match number 6? Don't go anywhere, because we will be moving back over to E District on the other side of this break.
Nagashimashita. Yeah. कितना क्यूट है थैंक यू पाजी
Welcome back, everybody. Team Liquid are prime, sitting in first place with 56 total points. We got one more game to go on E-District. It's been exciting to see whether, you know, Zero has been digging for gold to get that #1 first place spot in this group stage, or will S8UL, the boys back at home, just steal it away from him after the back-to-back dub?
I mean, maybe they go again, pull the hat trick out, just win all 3 on E-District and just cement your dominance and say, you know what, E-District, yeah, of course, we were able to get the same POI draft that we grabbed before, so we're playing from Neon Square, we're feeling really confident about it, and they have that southern zone that went into draft point, and immediately after the energy bank one, they called it to perfection. So now, can they do it again?
We'll find out next, guys. Our last game on E-District here for groups B and D. We've seen this played out as Team Liquid want to hold up this first place spot. Can they do it with 56 points with S8UL trailing a 1-point diff? Or will we get another southern zone, adding a bit of a thorn to the side on the rotations that you can expect from the likes of Team Liquid? Let's get this game going. It's been a great day of the ALGS, and of course, it's crazy to even think, Tiff, that we got even more action later throughout the day, but it's the way that this groups B and D play out.
The way things have been playing out since we started this day, Vicky, the question was Team Liquid, Falcons. Match #1 on World's Edge. What does that final 1v1 look like, right? Zeros in the end. It's waltzy, right? And in the inevitable, Falcons take that map. Team Liquid answer back with a win in map 3, and APAC South showed out for 4 and 5. Here's the deal, guys. Falcons are currently situated in 7th place on this series. If we're going to continue that HAL v0, I'm going to need to see the Falcons throw down a dub in Game 6.
Can they do it? I mean, the way that they opened up today, can it be a Falcon sandwich? You got to hit them with a caca, but you got to soar through victory first to even be within that conversation. They predicted that energy bank zone, a pool towards the north side of the bridge. Boy, were they wrong. It gave them whiplash, and it pulled closer to where Visions had predicted coming out of their POI and settling on the north side of draft point. This time, though, we are taking a little bit tripped to the west side of the middle part of E-District on the outskirts of Energy Bank and closer to Neon Square, where S8UL has someone hit the script writers because S8UL are going to try to convert off of this because they also got the ring console and the survey beacon while they were at it off of Neon Square.
I mean, they just have the Rampart. They've chosen to run that with the Watson band. They grabbed, you're right, the ring console and immediately go to set up alongside. So they have the amped covers. They've got the Newcastle wall. After the changes with Watson being yeeted out, I'm looking at Team Liquid's pick as they kind of work their way up into the Lotus. They elected to play Sparrow, which is something we're very familiar with. Sykes playing Sparrow in that last game on this matchup for E-District, and even the Bangalore making a few appearances. I see Gen G electing to play Bangalore. Team Liquid, my next question was, would Unlimit bring out the Bangalore for peace? No, they're still on the Axel Sparrow Fuse. Fuse has been very prevalent throughout our series.
You know, another team, too, who has been within the top 3, like, since the very beginning with the way that they've been doing throughout the course of these 6 games is Dinos, and they can easily also overtake S8UL and Liquid, depending on how they do in this game and the way that they rotate out of Energy Bank. But back-to-back with so many other teams now trying to rotate out of draft point. KSH, though, also being another team looking at VP over on the north side of Energy Bank. And while we do see these pings, so many other teams like E36 are on the rotate. Pirates, who are very close to meeting up with Dog Red over by that choke. You can already see E36 now moving up to Y-Evos as well as just with the blue. They do see Dogs on the other end, though, and they have the Evo shield advantage.
Yo, what I'm curious about is Wolves are full sending straight to the position that S8UL has found themselves
Hi,
in.
Aman.
Are they going to absolutely duke it out for that positioning? We'll have to wait and see. Zipline Mafia currently on our screen, very south here as they're working their way on that bottom side of draft point. Team Vision will be late to this rotation just based on where we're pulling. And finally, the challenge. And Jesco's got the Sheila out this early on for the action.
I don't know.
Oh, my sleep paralysis demon. How I missed you so. Jesco now forced to back away after letting the Sheila give a few of those warning shots. S8UL, though, having to stay alive when they're trying to take this fight versus Wolves on the other side of the building. They do have that slight high ground advantage. They try to go for a cheeky kidnap at the hands of Legacy. He's going to be able to reposition those.
अकेले में था खाली तुम लोग देखते हो ना मुझे खाते हुए
barriers. And E36 though,
I'm
they
eating
heard the
protein
fight
chips.
and they want in on the party with an invite that probably got lost in the mail.
Hey, they got some blue shields though, so that's going to give them a bit of an advantage. This throws another catalyst into the fight, and No Name, I love to see the angles onto that. An immediate 48 damage going down onto Legacy. We don't get the shield break just yet, but that's okay for now. Having the fact that Wolves have a catalyst, E36 have a catalyst, so they'll be piercing spikes, reinforced, and S8UL have the rampart with the amped covers. They're going to get that damage boost if they can find a way to navigate the angles properly.
It's nice to highlight just the different defensive legends that our teams are opting out for, right? And then you still have like the Caustic in this conversation, a lot of Sparrow, a lot of Alter. If this was going the distance, Alter would have been the next legend ban, but it ends here within our 6-game series. All the Ultras are prowling about. It's E36 who's running alongside Shopify. Very unorthodox composition, but you mentioned Shopify having to really wake up. I mean, this is their last chance at this point. You've only been able to get, what, like 14 total points, finding yourself on the bottom end of the overall standings, while VP over by Lotus are going to be able to take to the high ground, get that information before moving up. Because Shopify are also right next to them, as VP do get the ring console.
It's kind of interesting. Good note on that, and we'll chat about Shopify later. But even with a good game, you go to, what, 39 points? That gets you just inside the top 5, barring any craziness in our mid-pack. For TLNP, they're kind of in a similar position, but they're rotating just on the outskirts of Havoc, trying to find their way. Do we pathway through City Hall? City Hall really doesn't have a lot of information-gathering resources for that catalyst to grab a ring console. So our goal is, do we go up to Lotus, grab ring console there, and be super late on the rotation? That's why we're checking the survey beacon first.
Morgan, when you see a lot of these fights, though, it's going to get volatile here. So Aurora Effect has the gold mag on the car, but he barely even gets to shoot it. They completely melt him down. Harkus is trying to bring back Ring after Effect falls incredibly low, but it doesn't look like he can pull it off. He gets the animation at the very end, and then finding Effect taking it from the other side as flat. Wanted to be able to get that finishing blow before the reset happens, but Harkus way too fast. He gets both of the boys through the TP, and Aurora are looking to reset.
Keep your eyes on
Are we
Flat,
still
though.
alive?
One of the caustics in the lobby. Med kit's going on.
Yeah, I guess they're
The
still alive.
reknock on Oren comes through. Hiarka with the damage control grabs Q'Zher
आओ
from
भाई नई
that.
ड्रिंक
Now
ट्राई
for
करें
Nano
थोड़ा
and
सा
Big Louie here. It's about seeing what we can do. And are we going to reset yet again? No, Nano doesn't want to happen. He wants to put the finishing touches into Aurora if he can just find them.
Nano's taking this slow, though. He's a little scared, trying to see if he can get a little cheeky kidnap before trying to go in through the TP himself, but they're playing Ring Around the Rosie. I've seen this one before. A little bit of deja vu with the more consistent
Nano?
shots off the alternator. Nano knows that he has fried him, but playing off of the knockdown shield's gonna be risky, and it was just one shot before they clean up Aurora as the first team to go out in this final game.
Tough series for Aurora. They had 18 points, 15th in the series standing thus far for this group. We're gonna have to see them answer back and hopefully get into the top 14 for the week. Falcons, though, Walty incredibly low as Asia swings around, grabs the knock. Guild's already down, which means Hal needs to get out of dodge and save the Falcons if they want to break into the top 5 or potentially challenge for the top of the leaderboard.
The Hal insurance policy, though, when you're on the altar, you want to try to set up this portal somewhere else, though. They didn't like that position originally. And after losing out on Guild and Walton getting knocked, he's going to try to get Walton if he is safe here, because the action is happening in very similar ways with Zipline. Also just trying to get the finishing player.
S8UL गई.
Get eliminated in your feet.
भाई मेरे मन की आवाज सही होती है. मेरे मन की आवाज सही होती है. मैंने बोला ये गेम मेरे को लग रहा है. ये गेम लग रहा है मेरे को.
Team Liquid, but hey, they had one heck of a 6-game series.
सही में बे.
Havoc does fall as well at the hands of Unlimit. We knew Wolves was challenging S8UL for their position with Enerforce 36 in a neighboring vicinity. Enerforce 36 tried a third party, it doesn't come through. Elsewhere, Zipline Mafia still looking for information and trying to course their path on that eastern side of Energy Bank.
I just want to highlight too, like why these teams are playing the way that they do in the group stages. There is something that works right with the bottom 6 teams of group stages already
रात के मैचेस होंगे ना उसके बाद आइडिया लेना है कि दोनों दिन का ओवरऑल मिला के 40 टीम में क्या स्टैंडिंग है अपने, उससे अपन को आइडिया मिल जाएगा.
Survivor stage, so a lot of these teams with their backs against the walls who didn't have the best performance in the first initial series are looking to turn things around as Unlimit too. Zooming around
main देखो qualify
man slides in though, right behind Kiner, gets into a different position. He's got the alternator, he's got the double tap, he finishes him off.
इतने में देखो बहुत तो जाना
चाहिए. 4 KP in his pocket, but he's unstoppable. Pete's is just trying to reset. Nate's trying to stay alive, and now he's forced to TP to reset.
And you have the teammates going out looking for the pings and saying, he's escaped to here. You have the time to get me back up on my feet. Zidon even portaling back to Nate to try and clear the reset for them as well. And they are going on the hunt. And immediately under fire, TLN Pirates are out at the hands of Unlimit.
That is beautiful. Unlimit are putting on a performance in this final game. They keep going though, as Ulari Man has seen another victim in the distance here. They're like actually losing out. One player here, Suvi, isn't going to be enforcing them to play as a duo is going to be on limit now. Team Heretics move up. They control the high ground as well as this choke with Zipline Mafia on the other side, but it's going to be difficult with Galleria now engulfed in the ring, and all these teams from the eastern side are forced to move into Energy Bank.
Couple things to note here while we've got a moment to breathe. Falcons make a full reset and are heading back through Neon Square. Looks like Panic from Team Liquid was able to grab a care package weapon, so he'll feel pretty solid with that. And the Heretics, well, we're still kind of shadowing Zipline Mafia, but a bit towards the north. I wonder if we're going to be able to get ahead of them in the choke.
Wow.
This is OBS 17.
Wow. We are moving through the Matrix. Hearing the voices in my head. You think I'm Wraith actually at the same time. Team Heretics.
You just went into the void.
You love it, the little banter when you hear like Alter talk to Wraith too with her cute little portal. Felt like I was Wraith for a second, just hearing the voices here, but you know who's hearing themselves take this dub is gonna be Dino with the way that they've been playing, because currently with still 50 points, Team Liquid still are alive. But it's going to be able to be Dinos trying to prio this rotate right now, trying to survive, get that placement, especially when they see Team Vision blocking their rotate. They're forced to take this roundabout rotate through the southern side of Energy Bank through the choke instead.
And Gen G get a full reset. Res 2, so back up to a team of 3. And a good move for Dinos. We've got WGR Neo ahead of them. And I love the caution we're taking, right? We just all turtle up. No angles given, quiet, syringing together, and focusing. Now, this is the battle that's been going on since the very start of this map, and it's Enterforce 36 now with portals, with Dark Veils, trying to eliminate Wolves. The piercing spikes are down the stairs, but away we go, back to our building. The reason this is happening is because guys, Shopify Rebellion has showed up to the fight, and there's a Fuse, Axel, and Sparrow now into the mix.
You know, when you see moments like that, and you get shot from the window that gets broken, especially when you have to worry about the fuses too. I didn't know that Apex Legends is a horror game sometimes, but with the nades now, Shopify, they heard us, Tiff. They're showing their presence. Poipo playing a little slow though. Wolves too are able to try to get this reset with the medkit getting popped for no name, while Zipline Mafia are farming in the kill feed. Kazakh is going to be able to get the one member of Team Heretics. Wolves, though, are going to be able to put down the TP2 in case they need a reset, because they are one of the teams who, by the way, have not really left from this building and are bunkered down with a catalyst.
Enterforce 36 is down, and now you turn towards the Falcons with Wolfsy left standing Nano on the other side. The Kings coming through. The Chal is here, and the Falcons fall to flat.
Huge here for Flat to get this reset. Falcons out in 13th place in this final game. Between now with Waltzy, at least, you know, he got that knock, but unfortunately couldn't get that game. And now Visions walks up and clean up on aisle 3 because they're looking at Flat as Wolves are looking at them on the other side. And Team Liquid, who are still alive, are looking at the pile-up on the north side of Energy Bank. Gen G, Zipline Mafia, you were talking about this earlier. We saw the kill feed lighting up, Tiff, and Unlimit may actually break this, but you know what's even better? is Dinos by Energy Bank, who are looking to steal this KP.
I mean, look, when the dinosaurs go on the prowl, it's a little scary. I don't remember their fight for dinosaurs. We'll have to ask them after. Genji, yes, you got the full reset, but you are falling between Zipline Mafia and Team Liquid. Now, to end this fight, ahead is Excuse, and Zero just keeps jumping forward, hip firing that alternator before getting traded, because you're right, dinos are here.
It's perfect timing here. J Future was able to capitalize, but Team Liquid says, I am out, immediately taking the portal. Don't want to be in this action. Let's see if they can recall the player. They actually end up doing it. Team Liquid are looking to get the full reset. That's going to be huge here. No one's really going to contest them other than really Dog Red. But they're one of the teams with the Sparrow, Shopify, taking to the skies, and actually may distract Dog Red from trying to harass Team Liquid. So it looks like it could be a full reset here, while Wolves are still on the other side of this choke with where Team Vision has been holding them back together with Flat. And remember, with the amount of ults that we also still have in this lobby, you can take that TP through those walls and get cheeky with these rotates.
Now it's all about who is going to do what. Mother load. Hey, no, we'll go with the Knucker cluster for now. Doing some damage, we'll table it. But Shopify Rebellion needs to pull forward. Dog Red has already gone to circle. Wolves electing to go towards the north are shadowing Shopify Rebellion, who dropped the evac. And there goes the mother load, the damage coupled with the knuckle cluster. They clean this up just nicely, but we have to rotate, let it burn.
Oh my God, the revenge. Hold on. He was dancing on the zipline. He actually gets out. Just a little present for Fusey before Shopify now move up. But they griefed Wolves because the zone is closing in. We got to see if they're going to be able to reset.
Bro, I'm talking about
Apex. And now Wolves actually take the TP through the wall. They actually do, but Dog Red were waiting for them. They wiped them out, and Wolves get eliminated in 11. Team Liquid, we mentioned the reset. They're here, and they're wrapping behind the limit. Team Liquid now, they follow up. They find more of these victims, and Dinos are stuck on the edge of zone before they eventually fall. Dinos will now overtake Team Liquid. Zero remembering Waltzy with the choke. You can't emote on me if you are not on top. And Team Liquid right now are looking to farm as Panic gets another one.
We grab a knock onto Shopify Rebellion Zap. We lose on Limit, and this is great. We're carving out our path. Now here's the deal. Virtus Pro are in the circle. They could send one player out to third party this, but Panic deals so much damage. Steals a shield and disengages. That is the playstyle we need for Team Liquid. They're playing for the win, the positioning. They know this isn't a safe fight.
Looking at the fact that you got like a G7 with Team Liquid, I think a Kraber as well. I'm surprised if Zero has that picked up, your Shopify. With Zap literally one shot is just looking to restabilize. Another team across from them though, with Team Vision holding the other side of VP. Team Liquid are taking a roundabout rotate from the back end of where the one member of Zipline Mafia is. And by the way, the last member alive is going to be the Pathy, living true to the squad name. If he can move up into this next zone, and while he hears Team Liquid, he actually baits him to fight up against Team Vision Flat. The one solo gets eliminated at the hands of Zach, and Team Liquid move outside the zone. They see the TP. He didn't mean to try to get the finisher outside into the ring, but he did want to try to finish him off, get the reset too. Zero does have the Kraber in hand and the unlimited ammo.
But are they going to chase them down where they have reset onto the west, because Virtus Pro has been pounced on by Shopify. Zap still healing. Shield cell by shield cell. But the knuckle cluster to assist Koi. We got 4 kills. This is the game that they needed to turn it around. We're combing. We're trying to break into the top 10. But even with a win, we would be into the 30s. But it's still a salvageable series.
See what they're waiting now? Zone's closing in. Right behind Team Liquid. They haven't called out, by the way, the solo that is left of Zipline Mafia. They have no idea.
Let him live.
He is hiding for his dear life. Look at him. Look at Kazakh. Just hiding behind the desk.
Wait.
Would you like me to take your order real quick? As he's right there next to the desk itself. The fact that Sykes is right alongside him. He has no idea. He has no idea.
Check your corners. Check your corners.
They keep getting, all right.
He's gone. Koifel finds him.
Hey, but it misses out for Team Liquid to get that free KP. Honestly, but a great route I was going to say right into the face of another team. It's going to be Shopify here waiting for them, as well as VP. Now trying to take this fight versus Team Vision. Now this is all for Shopify. Gifted for free? I mean, Shopify are just looking at Team Vision. They were able to finish up that fight. They're up and healthy. You try to get the double jump off the Sparrow. Good luck with that. And now they're looking to coexist up the low ground.
And we're into the final kill
बार
too.
इतना end तक आई है,
And
I
look at
guess.
Zainu immediately trying to get, if we can, with the Hemlock Breach through the mobile
Vision
shield, loader
versus
down, and the angles all around. We swarm to Carter. Zap finds another. Shopify
जीत गई
Rebellion, the
SR,
comeback
जीत
that
गई.
we have asked for. Just needs to get
जीत
through.
गई
One
SR.
more, and Zach, he grabs a knock, and it is done. Shopify
जीत
Rebellion get
गई
their first win.
Shopify.
The pop-off when we said, Tiff, we highlighted Shopify
Overall,
right
prize
before getting
pool
into this last
$7
game. How good they needed to
million.
perform for match number 6.
Oh my
They were,
god,
what,
7.
Yeah, it wasn't looking too good, and they were kind of in that middle pack coming into this series where they would have really secured themselves a spot in the, that survival stage. They wouldn't have been quite sent home, and of course we do still have some more series to play. But them getting that win and getting as many points as they can will edge them closer in that group standings, so we can really avoid being in that bottom 6.
Okay and feel
anything when it comes to being able to secure the 9 KP too. Let's also not forget they took the solo
feel like
from
playing
Zipline Mafia.
तो मैं
All
आती हूँ
that
किक पे
KP
बाद
as we
में.
take a look at our other
अभी
teams
तक तो
who
कुछ पता नहीं.
may not have had the performance that they needed. Dory finding themselves in that
RP के लिए ना
20th
बहुत
place spot.
energy
Wolves
लगती है.
too will try to take this very slowly.
थोड़ा ना socializing
Even
energy
teams like
अभी low
WGR
पे है.
Hero, who came in swinging.
Yesterday, they had a 15 kill win. Wolves had a strong showing yesterday. B versus D, not
Valo
their
तो नहीं,
matchup.
Valo तो नहीं.
That
आऊँगी
they're
तो
doing too hot
RP
on
के
today,
लिए
but that's
आऊँगी.
okay. There's still plenty of more matchups to
और
go.
Phasmo
But
का तो
Shopify
Phasmo
Rebellion,
I don't
you
mind.
can see the
Phasmo तो मेरे को अच्छे से
celebrations
मैंने
on that
खेलने
map 6 win, doing the most. I even saw Zero running over the
बाकी
top.
देखते हैं.
What do we think Zero is saying to all these teams as they get their wins? He's congratulating them. We know Zero is a positive guy.
Broadcast पे बता
I mean,
दूँगी
when
जब
it
मैं
comes to the
आऊँगी.
Aussies, you love to see it. I love to see the energy here when it comes to looking at the way that S8UL was able to perform Team Liquid 2. And you know what? Sometimes I like to call it back in my roots, Tiff. Taught to get bodied, because even if Falcons started off strong,
they did.
You see Waltzy with the
जल्दी
pop-offs,
दिखाओ,
but it was only
ranking
game
दिखाओ,
number 1 before Team Liquid was really able to turn things around. Sure, he got that one dub. That one dub was double-digit 13 KP. They consistently found themselves in the
I don't know, नहीं होता है इसलिए मेरे को ज़रा सा भी
Although we won't talk about that last portal. That's when we had the
I would
big
rather
pile of
play
platoon
RP
teams
honestly.
into that building. But he
Palo
said,
का तो बिल्कुल,
I hope
आज
this
तो बिल्कुल
works
भी
through
नहीं
it on the
चलता
board and
है.
open stuff. But it's very unfortunate too when you see a lot of these teams playing scattered patiently here. Especially when you also see that one solo who was getting cleaned up, Shopify waiting patiently, Zap going crazy at the very end after securing the KP from the high ground before repositioning himself, playing off the fuse, and even getting on the line side of that Sphere ultimate.
What's really nice is how he manages like the cooldown and the count of his knuckle clusters. He grabs the knock and throws the knuckle cluster onto them before diving out of the door. As we see those celebrations, Dawn in the back there. That has to feel good, because sometimes this is what happens on LAN. You have a slower start. You're trying to figure out the pace of how these group matchups are working. And finally to say, hey, we got that win, because that's the biggest question that we take in the match point finals on the weekend, is we are saying, have you netted yourself your first win of the series yet?
It's great. It's fantastic to see how even the teams on the back end of things were able to wake up a little bit. Even just that 1 point dip between Shopify off of that great banger of a last game behind Team Falcons, with them holding 36 points and Shopify with 35 at the end of that. Even with the way that Visions was able to perform and call a lot of these end zone, it's been great to see how these teams, these groups have faced off against each other. Let's hear from more of Zero as we jump into the interview.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the main stage. We've got an epic interview here because, let's face it, day 2 did not disappoint. I've got Guild here joining me from Team Falcons. Guild, let's kick things off. Today, let's begin to kick things off. That map 1, we've got to talk about it right the way down to the wire. We gave the fan service to the fans. They had a great time. Waltzy clutching up at the very end of that. Talk me through the comms, talk me through how game 1 went for you guys, and how elated you were afterwards.
I mean, game 1 was great. I was really happy for Waltzy to win that 1v1. He played it really well. I mean, that game was just pretty well played for the whole thing, pretty much.
Yeah, it was an incredible thing to see, and to be honest with you,
But रात को देखूंगी
it's a similar
actually
story to
मैं.
yesterday. You guys starting
क्योंकि
strong, and
रात
starting
के
to
6
take off.
मैचेस
What
के
kind of
बाद
issues are you running into, or is it
रहेगा.
just kind of that's how it
क्योंकि
plays out
सबकी
sometimes?
equal games होंगे.
I don't know. I mean, game 2,
तो मैं रात
we
के
kind of
लिए
died in a
कह
way
रही
that
थी,
like
रात को
we couldn't really
देखूंगी.
do much about it, and I think we just didn't do a great job
क्योंकि
recovering
अभी
afterwards.
जैसे इसमें कौन नहीं था.
So the rest of the games just
ये
didn't go
सारे
well.
तो अभी थे
So the
अपने
rest of the games,
साथ,
was it
right?
just getting in your own head, and then suddenly it kind of started to not
सब
necessarily
थे
spiral.
अपने उसमें
Spiral.
आरआर
But,
क्यों
you know,
नहीं
it
था
started to slip away from you
तो
guys
मतलब हो
throughout the
सकता है
rest
ना
of the
ये
day.
लोग के 6
Yeah, I mean, when
गेम्स
you have a
बाद ये
game like
काफी
that,
ऊपर आ सकते हैं बाकी टीम्स इसके
like
लिए
every
रात को
bad game that you
देखेंगे
have after that like matters a lot more if that makes any sense. So if
चलो गाइस इट्स टाइम फॉर मी टू गो एक्सक्लेमेशन किक करो किक पे फॉलो कर लो रात को आऊंगी तो मैं अगर ब्रॉडकास्ट पे बता दूंगी एंड अगेन अगर आपने EWC फैंटेसी में साइन अप नहीं किया है उसमें साइन अप करें प्रिडिक्ट करें रिवॉर्ड्स जीते और मजे करें ठीक है बाय गाइस सी यू ऑन किक रात को आती हूँ तो बाय बाय गुड नाइट अगर नहीं आई तो गुड नाइट ठीक है बाय 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 बाय